Hello, everybody, and welcome to an exciting episode of the MinnMax Show, a place about games, friends, and getting better. My name is Ben Hansen. Thanks for being here. We have a big crew. We have Janet Garcia here.
Hello.
We have Leo Vader here.
What a day.
Oh, we have Kelsey Lewin here.
Hi.
We have Jacob Sir Gellerhead here.
I have no unanswered questions.
We are here. This is the day. Do you remember like the first fairy tale your parents taught you? And they said, someday, my little child, you will learn everything about the Nintendo Switch 2. Today is that day, everybody.
I heard it's next week, they would say.
I read a lot of Bloomberg. I think it's coming any day now. We are unpacking the big Nintendo Direct for the Switch 2 on this episode. There is so much to unpack, so much to talk about. We'll get to 100% of it guaranteed. Then, of course, back half of the show, we have some great questions that people submitted over there on Patreon. And we're going to answer your finest questions about the world of gaming. Thank you all for being here. If you've enjoyed MinnMax's content recently, if you ever had a moment of like, you know what? I'm happy this independent games media outlet exists. You can help support us directly and not just out of the kindness of your heart. You get something out of it because if you support us on Patreon at the $5 tier or you upgrade to the $5 tier, if you're currently a $2 tier supporter, so join the $5 tier on Patreon. You get access to the bonus podcast feed with Bonus Pod and a ton of other audio versions of our shows. But then also we will DM you on Patreon with a Steam code for Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. One of the best games from the last year, one of Haley and Kyle's favorites. I think it was in the top 5, top 6 for the 210s last year. And so we will DM you that Steam code for Lorelei and the Laser Eyes from Simogo and the publisher Annapurna. If you join the $5 tier before April 7th, 2025. So before April 7th, jump into the $5 tier. We will send you that code for Lorelei and Laser Eyes. So check your Patreon DM. This is for new supporters only. We have 200 codes to give away, and we will send a message on all social media. So Blue Sky, Instagram, Discord, Twitter, everywhere when we run out of codes. TikTok, no, but everywhere else except for TikTok. We'll let you all know when we're out of codes for that. But thanks to Annapurna for making that possible with the giveaway.
You could do it in like a TikTok dance, though.
Oh, that's true. That's true. That's a great point. Nintendo Switch 2. We just wrapped up the big reaction stream. Janet, you weren't there. Curious to hear what your takes were. If you want to watch our raw reaction to this entire thing, you can go to MinnMax's YouTube channel. We had Shuhei Yoshida join us on this grand adventure, which is very exciting. Yeah, the former head of PlayStation. We get to watch his raw reaction to the big Switch 2.
Can we all do our best impersonation of his raw reaction?
Please do it. He's a businessman, Jacob. He's not one of your lousy Greg Millers screaming and dancing around in an ape costume or something. He's absorbing the information.
The kind of funny stray came early this episode. This is wild.
We have a busy show. We got to get it out of the way.
Yeah, that's true. Efficient, yeah.
No, shout out to Shu for jumping on this. Very kind to him. It was like, what a bizarre confluence of events then when they show the new trailer, which, I don't know, should we jump into this before we jump into the Nintendo Switch 2 specific stuff? Like, when they show a new From Software game that looks like the spiritual successor to Bloodborne, it's like, what are the odds we'd have Shuhei Yoshida, Mr. Bloodborne himself, like on the reaction stream, seeing this thing? Was that the biggest pop for you, Jacob, throughout the entire thing?
I mean, absolutely the most, like, I really didn't think there was going to be anything game-wise that I would have not been able to see coming. I mean, it's like, sure, you've got your weird little, like, experiments, the basketball game, unexpected and cool, but, like, never in a million years did I think we would get an original IP, fully featured FromSoft game that is exclusive to the hardware.
It was just haymaker after haymaker, and then they get to Duskbloods, and it's like, hey, this is a new From Software game, directed by Miyazaki, exclusive on Switch 2. Like, that might have been the biggest pop.
And, like, dropping as many Bloodborne references as they possibly could. You know, talking about, like, the moon and blood the whole time, and the art style is incredibly gothic, and, yeah.
I mean, when it's kind of like that... I'm not a Bloodborne guy, so forgive me. Jacob, help me out. But, like, when the kind of... the coat looked like the fur of like kind of the werewolf creatures that just looked 100% like Bloodborne.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's clearly they're doing their own stuff. it seems like it's kind of a vampire game, which
Very
is
much
different
so.
than being a werewolf game. But they're both about blood, and it just never in a million years would I have predicted that spiritual successor to Bloodborne would come out during the Switch 2 announcement.
Are we more or less excited about this because it's multiplayer? I think that makes it I think that's cool. It makes it more likely that I personally will play it, but that's
Really?
worse overall, right?
Why do you say that?
I feel like it feels less
Because
like canonical, right? In some ways.
It seems less like the
Core.
FromSoft
Yes.
core thing,
Yeah, I have questions because it's like the press release said that it was PvPvE,
Right.
which technically every FromSoft game other than Sekiro is that. All of Demon Souls, Dark Souls, they all have player summoning PvPvE, but they haven't built themselves as multiplayer games in the same way that this is. And if it is primarily a co-op game or something, I would be a little disappointed. But I just, looking at like the level design, I'm like, this does not feel, Night Rain is like remixed Elden Ring with multiplayer.
Right.
This does not look like that. This looks like a big ass new game.
So the way they phrase it here, so developed for the upcoming Nintendo Switch 2, the Duskbloods, which by the way, also in the title, it makes it seem like it's a team. It's like a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen type of situation.
Yeah.
So the Duskbloods is a PvPvE. Hey, Leo, wake me up when it's a JCVD title. You know what I mean? Anyway, so it's a PvPvE title with online multiplayer at its core. That is bold phrasing for the official description. At its core, it's online multiplayer where up to 8 players vie for supremacy among themselves and against challenging foes. Play as the Bloodsworn. Not the Bloodborne, the Bloodsworn. A group that has transcended human strength thanks to their special blood. And throw yourself into the violent fray for, quote, first blood as the twilight of humanity approaches. So wait, the group is called...
What's a Duskblood?
Yeah, exactly. Wait, now I'm confused with the Bloodsworn versus Duskbloods. Maybe that's what the little rat teasing at the end is all about. That they are the
Maybe it's like
Duskbloods.
when dusk turns, the circle closes. I don't know what they're doing
Hang on,
in
write
this
that
world
down.
anymore.
So, like, the part that's interesting, a thousand things, but like, vampires, got it. But then the part that's wild is it's like that train in the beginning looks so sci-fi. It looks like a Final Fantasy VII train. And I guess, having trains in kind of a Victorian London isn't so wild of a combination, but there's little...
Steampunk.
Yeah.
It's because there's like a guy with a jetpack, like a very kind of
huge.
the Rocketeer-esque jetpack. So I think that it is. I mean, when I first saw it, I thought just the screen, I was like, is this Lies of P? And Lies of P is actually very kind of old steampunky, and this actually looked more in line with that.
Yeah, but then there's also a transformation into a dinosaur creature. Like basically, you remember in Elden Ring, like the big dog freaks in the red area? Like that scale of a head is now on a dinosaur that's just running around and chomping fools, which looks so excellent. It was extra weird, to have Shu there because you know how every time they announce like a PlayStation game's coming to PC and the internet lights itself on fire in outrage and we're like, grow up, everybody. More people can play these games. That's great. I haven't checked yet, but I imagine the PlayStation subreddit is melting down that the spiritual successor to Bloodborne is a Nintendo Switch exclusive. Like, that's like, I get that if that's frustrating. You're going to have to spend a lot of money on this console if you want to play this. I get why that's an impact to you.
I did see someone saying, quote, I hope the next Bloodborne isn't PlayStation exclusive. Monkey paw curls. It's like, hey, great, it's not.
But like, it feels like what Demon Souls was to Dark Souls, of kind of like, it's a spiritual successor. You kind of get the idea. It feels like this is that to Bloodborne. Is that too much of a
Be able to
stretch?
reference it, right? It won't be the same. It can't be the same universe.
No. There's going to have, but all From Software games have their homages to other From Software games, but this feels like the most
greatsword in it.
Right. And the fact that Night Rain has bosses directly from the Dark Souls series in it, it feels like that level of kind of winky and nod, but it's so weird that it's a Nintendo thing.
Yeah, I have so many questions about it. And just kind of like, but like looking at, I think mainly when I was watching this, I was like, it is really clearly like the Elden Ring engine. It's
Sure.
like the way that big things look in the environment very much looks like Elden Ring. And obviously Elden Ring was also announced as a Switch 2 coming title. And so it's just, I mean, do you think that you just have to give them like $1 trillion? You know, like how do you secure an exclusive like this? Elden Ring sold 25 million copies. How,
I don't know.
like, what is the deal they're making?
It's a great question. And also, I mean, is it just Nintendo can point to the total sales for the Switch 1 and be like, try and deny us. I dare you. And maybe this is where we really get into lousy internet conspiracy theorists. So you guys can blare some sirens if you want, but it's like, it is wild that Bloodborne Remaster hasn't happened. Clearly there needs to be a collaboration in some way between From Software and Sony. And it does feel like an extra little jab in Sony's back to then make this big of a jump. This is Final Fantasy all over again, but the opposite direction. Like, I guess the answer is money and just wanting to forge a better relationship with Nintendo, but who the hell knows? It's huge.
I mean, and Miyazaki has said that, like, he wants to be there for a Bloodborne remaster. You know, he doesn't want to give it to another team. He wants to be on the project.
I think, or did Shu just speculate that that's what was going on?
Oh, okay.
You know?
Maybe
that's
it's been reported secondhand. But like, if your choice is, well, do you want to do an old thing that you did, or like have a company give you a bunch of money to make a new IP?
Right.
I would choose the new thing.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And that whole line about, you know, him wanting to be there for the remaster of Bloodborne, it's like, I mean, he let Demon's Souls out. Demon's Souls is also very much his baby, you know, and if Bluepoint could tackle that, I'm a little skeptical about that idea that he would never let Bloodborne happen, but this is just salt in the wound for a lot of fans, but awesome at the same time to have the new game. And now we can all count down the days until the Duskbloods comes out. Leah, remember, the game's called the Duskbloods.
But that's not what you are in the game. You and your group of people, not Duskbloods.
You're Bloodsworn.
Right.
Right. We got
Obviously.
And it's not Bloodborne.
But it's not
Family game of
Bloodborne.
the
It's
year.
Bloodsworn.
2026.
Janet, I mean, you weren't there for the reaction. What do you think overall about, I guess apparently the Duskblood Direct also had something about the Nintendo Switch 2 in it, which is interesting.
There was a Duskblood Direct.
No, there's a little cheeky joke, but what do you think about the Nintendo Switch 2?
I was like, what? I was like, what? So much is happening. I'm like, what is going on? There was a lot happening. I think it was really interesting to hear more from the hardware side and really see what is their vision for this mouse. I think that was honestly the most fascinating part to me.
It's weird.
New Donkey Kong also hits.
Oh my God.
But I did want a little bit more. I know it's a launch, so I feel like we have this conversation every time a console comes out, which is, why is it not more? And it's always like, well, it's launch, and launch is always a little bit thin. So, I would have liked to see a bit more come out for launch, because I'm trying to think of what that, and I love Mario Kart, very excited about that. I think it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
But what that first week, which granted, we'll be working at SGF, so let's pretend we were normal, right? That first weekend with the Switch 2, and I think about what am I going to be doing with that time? And I feel like there's just not that much to gravitate toward. Like, I would like something to sink my teeth into a little bit more.
I think you're out of your darn mind. I mean, if you look at like the launch, we got Mario Kart World, which we can get into. That's at launch. We have the new versions of Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild. That's fantastic. And then you wait 1 month and then you get the new 3D Donkey Kong game. On top of that, all of these other game ports are going to be there. A lot of them at launch. The GameCube stuff is going to be there at launch. Like, yeah, there's some old stuff thrown in there, but like,
You've named one new game.
yeah, but then
You can sit and wait a month.
yeah, you wait
That's
1
exciting.
month after Mario World, and then you get a new Donkey Kong. Like, within the first month, I think that's an incredible way to get out of the gate.
I think it's not that different than the Switch's launch, which is like one killer app. In the Switch's case, it was Breath of the Wild. In this case, it's Mario Kart. And then some third-party stuff for the most part.
I do think, though, too, like, Breath of the Wild was the killer app of, like, all time, which I know they're not going to do that again. You know, that's, even with Tears of the Kingdom, nothing hit like Breath of the Wild for the Switch 1. So, like, I totally get that. But I think Mario Kart, as much as I will be playing the hell out of that game, I'm very excited. And I love that they're doing more than just, like, the traditional core structure. It will give you more to do. It's not a game you can lose yourself in the same way Breath of the Wild was. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of also
I don't know,
my
open
issue with it.
exploration.
You can get lost in
cut those
Breath of the-
corners. Who knows
I
what's
really
out there?
think to me, watching that, the Switch 2-iest game actually looked like the Mario Party update.
Isn't that
you know,
interesting?
like in terms of just like,
Yeah.
what are you going to be doing on your console that's going to make it feel like a different thing from Switch 1? I'm not planning on buying the Switch 2 camera. That is not something that I can ever like see myself using. But if you are like, if you're a big Nintendo fan and you're like excited for new hardware, seeing you and your friends' faces pop up while you play Mario Party and like do the new games actually feels kind of like a newer hardware experience than like playing a Mario Kart that looks a little better than last Mario Kart.
I hear you. And just to really slam dunk my point from earlier, I mean, we got that Jamboree TV and all that stuff that's coming out the 20th of July. So also, you know, month and 2 months, then you'll have that. And then also
An
that
expansion for an existing game.
right.
Yeah, and the game also
paid
wasn't
expansion.
that good. Jamboree.
Well, it's a Mario
People
Party.
like Jamboree. People like Jamboree.
Whoa, not too much on Mario Party, because that Mario Party 4, I ride for that hard. I just, I think they were not, single player campaign games is the thing. Like, we don't have that for like launch, and I think that's a little bit disappointing. I mean, am I shocked by it? No, because launch is always kind of thin. You only early adopt to be there for fun. You're never there because there's like a huge lineup of games. But I do wish that there were more in there, because of course I'd want more to play.
I think there's going to be plenty to play. I'm not trying to be like absolutely running out.
Like,
run
you
out
think
and
you're
get this.
booting up, you're excited to boot up Chibi Robo again on the GameCube. Like, I love the GameCube, but
Yeah.
I'm out here looking at like, you know what? What if we boot up Mario Strikers? And I think if that's my conversation point, that's not as exciting as it could be for a launch to me.
I hear you, but also it's like, I think of, yes, from our cool gamer perspective, it's like, yes, having something big, new, and meaty single player would be great at launch. Then again, I mean, Metroid Prime 4 is promised for 2025 at some point. That's going to be our experience this year. Within a month, having Donkey Kong, that is absolutely incredible. And then on top of that, you think of the money, Jen. You think of how many copies are going to sell of Mario Kart and this new version of Mario Party. And
Am I getting some of that money?
It's not
Like,
all
what is
about
it?
the money. My point is, think of like the amount of fun and the amount of like people that'll be playing those two games. Like, if you were to measure pure joy radiating from the Switch 2 within the first 2 months of its launch, I feel like it's radioactive at this point for the amount of people that are going to be playing those games.
Yeah, well, like, look, I understand that Breath of the Wild was a bigger moment, like, culturally, in a, obviously just a bigger deal, especially for us hardcore gamer types, but Mario Kart 8 sold 68 million copies!
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild sold half that! Like, the Mario Kart will obviously sell the system. That is a killer app for the system.
Although, did you see this news? Do you know how much Mario Kart World, which by the way, the game's called Mario Kart World, which
it's going to be $80.
$80.
$80.
Yeah.
That
If you get it
being
bundled,
said,
it's technically slightly cheaper.
who in the world is going to buy a Switch 2 and not get that bundle?
That's true.
Like, who's like, I'm buying a
yeah,
Switch
Who's
2
going
at
to buy a
launch.
physical?
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. We should,
Will it
cheap, so I'm
exist?
gonna get the
Will that
digital
version
because-
exist at all?
I mean, it is notable. It is wild. With all those, the analysts being like, oh, 2K, they could charge $100 for GTA 6. And we're like, okay, we'll see how it goes. I feel like this is the first real testing of those waters of Mario Kart being pushed at 80, which I think they'll sell plenty of
course.
them.
People go and go, oh, I guess games are $80 now.
Right.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. Yeah, Mario Kart breaking the seal is fascinating because I think that actually does, like, I think that does flip a switch. I think people are just like, oh, well, Nintendo's doing it. I guess that's just the cost of games now.
Right.
And then you get the pack-in version being credited for like, here's the 30 million sales or whatever. So it's like, no, it really is successful, even though it was $80.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. And then it'll be like, $80, water's great. Come on in, everybody. And so it's important to point out that the Donkey Kong game, which we should not gloss past, we'll get to in a bit. It has the best name ever. But it does, I mean, that's $70 apparently. So it's not like 80 is going to be the new standard for all the stuff on Switch. But when
But
it's
is it-
Mario
is
Kart,
it
Down
70
everyone.
'cause-
It's only the most expensive a game
Yeah.
has been up until this point.
Is it 70?
Not setting a new record.
The thing that I'm
I
kind of
mean,
confused about with
in
that.
the modern generation. But,
Right, I know.
There
I
used
know
to be
games used to be a lot
$100
more.
RPG.
what are you, some sort of immortal being?
No
How do
one
you know these
remembers what
things?
you're talking about, Kelsey. This is a million years ago. It could have been, who knows? Yeah, and the PS3 was really expensive when it came out, the classic.
I remember that.
Is the 80 the outlier or is the 70 the outlier?
Maybe
my
they're
question.
testing.
Yeah, what's
is-
Metroid Prime 4 gonna be?
I bet
Yes.
it's 70.
Because sometimes
also
games
think
are,
that.
now
70 is base,
cheaper.
is
so.
my guess.
I think so
70s
too.
base, okay.
And then, and also technically, the Mario Kart Home Circuit was more than 80 when that launched, and everybody.
come
With a
on.
toy.
Well, Labo, it was a lot. If
I'm
you
just
bought
saying,
all
I
the
think it's a
pieces.
really good idea to charge us a crap load of money for this game.
And the Pokemon that came with the little Pokeball controller, that cost more money too.
Yeah.
Great point.
I mean, Mario Kart World, fantastic name. It's one of those of like, yeah, I guess they haven't done that yet. That's the perfect name for a Mario Kart game. Absolutely, you got to do it. The question I have is like that free roam stuff. How free roaming are we talking? Like, it's still classic Mario Kart, but then they had a mode in there where you could free roam with people. Is that
Could
gonna,
explore and
like they were-
discover new routes.
And it looked like they were all going to be connected, all the courses. Like you physically can drive from one end of the map to the other.
yeah.
Like, I will never play the free roam, but I will play a really long race that is like 5 interconnected tracks. That
yeah.
seems awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does seem great for sure. And so, yeah, it's there's also wall running now, and you can play as a cow.
Yeah, the wall running was really cool. The cow was
the
really
React-
cool. I popped hard for that cow.
I mean, in the React, we were all kind of quiet until they showed Mario grinding on a rail, and then all of us simultaneously were like, "Wow!"
$80, take it! Everything you need, please! I was confused with like the costume changes mid-race. What's going on there?
I was that too.
Is that an item?
I thought they were
Are
just
those
I thought they
power-ups?
were just cutting.
Was it?
I thought they were just cutting.
It might have just been
I don't know. That
Mario,
that
No,
looked
it
in-game.
looked like they got an item and then
Yeah.
turned into.
they have a hat now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mario without a hat. That was a wild reveal. Genuinely, it definitely shouldn't be glossed over. The Mario Kart looks incredible.
It does look good.
And everything I got out of that, I was like, yep. We got to get 2 new gimmicks because of the wall running and the free roam element. Cool little costumes. Like the vehicle changes were really exciting too. Like very Diddy Kong Racing of them.
Yeah.
But will actually feel modern than Diddy Kong Racing is really
Easy.
old. So.
The Diddy fans are about to be outraged.
I know, but when is the last time they played it? It's like you're moving so slow in Diddy Kong Racing.
It's completely irrelevant.
Yeah.
Playing it. Come
Mario
on.
Kart World. You know what's not irrelevant?
Sarah,
Leo Vader?
planes.
Sarah loves planes. Leo, do you know what you do when you get hungry?
Eat burger?
Eat
Like
burger,
Mario?
but what if you ate really healthy food that can only be available through Green Chef? Because Green Chef is, of course, the one, the only, you know it, everybody. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for clean eating, delivering pre-portioned and prepped quality whole foods with limited processed ingredients. Green Chef sends organic, fresh produce. You need to go out to a damn farm and try and find it, Leo. This organic, fresh produce coming right to your house, responsibly sourced proteins and chef-designed recipes in every box for satisfying, nourishing, convenient meals that make it easy to stick to a clean eating routine. And did you know that Green Chef is actually owned by HelloFresh, all under the same umbrella? So if you like HelloFresh's service, you could really enjoy Green Chef as well. You know it's quality.
I don't think you even care about my answers to these questions.
Hey man, no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I didn't know that. That's really interesting.
Do you like HelloFresh?
Yeah.
Do you like responsibly sourced proteins?
Of course.
Well then, Leo, I'm trying to say you should like Green Chef, man.
I felt like your questions were rhetorical, even though you said they were pointed at me, and it just made me feel like, why am I even here?
I would never ask a rhetorical question on this podcast. I think we all know that. It's in the ad copy, but it says pause, wait for response on every single line.
Ask most handsome member of the podcast.
You can get a fresh and good big old box at your door of amazing healthy food. This year you can ditch the fads. What, Tide Pods? What's the eating fad this day? It says, create healthier eating habits that last with real clean foods. Green Chef makes it easy with recipes curated for a variety of lifestyles and dietary needs. You can thrive all year with clean, easy meals from Green Chef. Go to greenchef.com/MinnMax free and use code MinnMax free to get started with free salads for 2 months plus 50% off your first box. Thrive all year. greenchef.com/MinnMax free. Use code MinnMax free to get started with free salads for 2 months plus 50% off your first box. There is a link in the description below. Okay, should we get into like the text, the techie aspect, the whole thing outside of the games? But there's some more games to talk about for sure. But Jacob, your prediction at the start of the reaction stream was like, they're probably not going to get into numbers here. And they didn't get into like, the GPU, the CPU, we source Digital Foundry, doi. But they did get into some numbers.
I should have said they will not say the word teraflop, because that's what I really was like. They're not going to tell us like what kind of CPU or GPU it's running, but they to their credit, they said more numbers than I thought they were going to.
Yeah, and it was interesting to just try and squint and get the sense of like, how powerful is this thing? Like, they show it running split fiction, which was maybe the lowest res looking thing, but it's also tough, I'd imagine, with the split screen aspect, as Leo pointed out in the reaction stream. So I don't know, like, Kelsey, did you have a sense of where we're at for the power of this thing?
It's about what I expected, at least just from what we can see on the screen, which is obviously not, we're seeing some modern-ish games running on this, but not looking their greatest. And that's kind of what I expected. But, I mean, they said that there are some things that can go up to 120 FPS.
Yeah.
Some things that can do 4K, although then 4K is gated at 60 frames per second, is what it seems like. So, like, a step up for sure, clearly better, but, I mean, because it seems so, like, game-specific there, and because what we saw... It looked like what I expected. It's like it can run better games than the Switch can, but worse than your PS5 can.
Ballpark
It's
PS4
also,
Pro seems about accurate for the predictions.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that. I think it's a Steam Deck, and I think I guess I don't know how a Steam Deck compares to a PS4 Pro. But
I think probably a little bit south of it. But the part that I think the most impressive thing technically I saw was when they're like, hey, you can run Metroid Prime 4 Beyond in this thing handheld at 720p, but 120 frames per second. I was like, well, handheld at 120? Like, that seems pretty wild. But maybe it's because that game was primarily made for the Switch 1? Like,
yeah, it's a Switch 1 game that they're running at a resolution from 2010. It's, I don't know. It's,
yeah. At the same time, like, versus Switch, that's like, we're talking 4 times the frame rate. Like, that's going to feel like a huge upgrade. Like, struggling for 30 is how I describe it. The Switch 1 with a lot of things.
Right.
I didn't clock this until after, but the fact that it is not an OLED screen feels like, oh, well, there will be a better version that'll come out in 2 years. Just the fact that it's like the screen is a higher resolution than the Switch. It's going from 720 to 1080, which is great. But like the fact that it's a worse screen than the Switch OLED is a weird choice.
No, it definitely feels like this is definitely a company releasing a new console at the height of their powers. Like, just the confidence of, we're charging $80. I know there's an OLED Switch now, but this we'll nickel and dime you in the future to get that. And then also the part that blew my damn mind is the game that they revealed called Welcome Tour, where you're running around as a little guy navigating this space and basically learning about the hardware. But then on top of that, it's like, no, this is not going to be
a launch game.
Yes, there you go. There's a launch game, but it will be separate. You need to buy it separately, digital or physically.
Money.
We will charge you
a manual. A manual for your Switch too.
But what if they have, Kelsey? What if they have
money?
What if like little engineers are telling you the backstory of designing this thing, and it's not just press this button to activate the C thing?
Did you see that?
No.
Or did you see a manual? Because I saw a manual with a couple tech demos.
What do you think? Is this thing going to be $20 for this Welcome Tour?
Any amount of money is insane for this. I'm sorry.
That wasn't the question, though. What do you think?
No, it is. It is. They should be locked up for charging money for whatever this Welcome Tour thing is.
I said the same thing about 1-2 Switch, and I was right then as well. But like, and not that I think 1-2 Switch is actually like fun and cool, but that would have been a perfect pack-in. This isn't like, oh, that'd be a perfect pack-in. This is like, why did you make this if not to be a pack-in?
Yeah, 1-2 Switch is a game.
This felt like maybe I was too harsh to 1-2 Switch after I said there is lower you can go, and it's this thing they made, which is like very strange. But I don't know.
Again, lunacy. I want to be very clear. Lunacy that they're charging money for this.
I don't know. You said you liked it. You're like, I have lots to play. I'm check out the
manual.
You know what?
Honestly, I do kind of like the idea of being a little guy running around on a giant Switch, and it looks like a little like Me Plaza thing. Like, I'm kind of into it.
They've ruined my joy. I had so much. I was like, this is whimsical. This is wonderful. And then they charge money for it.
Yeah, you're watching it. You're thinking, well, it's no Astro's Playroom, the game that's included with every PS5 that tells you how the PS5 works. But still, what a cool thing. And then, as well as not being Astro's Playroom, it costs infinitely more.
But at least we can use our Nintendo points to get it for free, right?
Bad news.
They yanked that away too. It's like, it just, it is definitely a company that can get away with all this stuff, which is powerful Nintendo. We got to ride this roller coaster of them being scrappy, fighting to climb uphill after generations like the Wii U, and then coming off the Switch where they can basically be in the PS3 launch position of like, you know what? You'll come to us.
We're always doing
fine.
weird stuff. You know what I mean? I don't think they're just like, oh, we're successful now, we're going to be weird. If you're a Nintendo fan, you've been mad your whole life. So I don't know. And happy. So it's like, it's like, I love Mario. It doesn't really matter, but I'm still mad.
Ben, I disagree with the OLED being purely a like height of their confidence thing. I think that already this system is very expensive, and it being OLED would be at least another $50. And they were just like, that's a crazy price. We remember the PS3 launch. Like we simply cannot charge that much money without people screaming. So it'll come later.
Yeah. Have we said that it's going to cost $449 in the States here? So $450 for this thing. The Switch one when it launched was $299, just for a frame of reference. The Mario Kart bundle is going to be $499. Expensive for sure. PS5 was $499 at launch, so the same price as the PS5 here if you get the bundle. It was nice to have Shuhei Yoshida on the reaction stream where he was more interested in the yen price, and the yen price is dirt cheap. It's going to be 99 cents, I think, for a Switch 2 in Japan.
It's weird.
It's really
weird. So I want to talk about this because this is a fascinating way to deal with a weak yen and potentially some like tariff uncertainty.
Yeah.
So the Switch 2, $450 here, and roughly, what equates to that in like other countries as well, in Europe and in Canada and everything. In Japan, 49,980 yen, which is like $330-ish depending on the day. But because that's obviously so much cheaper, and because Nintendo's been doing so well with this region-free stuff for a while, they're handling this by making just that version, just the Japanese language version, like locked. It's region locked, and you can't. So Americans or people who speak English living in Japan, if they want a Switch 2 that can actually like use, English cartridge or like American, Western, European, whatever cartridges, and use English language, they have to pay for an international version, which is 69,980 yen, making it, after conversion, more equivalent to the price that we're paying.
Whoa. Diabolical. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty rare. Is that unprecedented to have this weird multiple version of some are locked and some aren't?
I've never seen... It's possible it's happened before. I've certainly never seen anything like that. And it's hard to know what they're thinking, whether this is entirely a like protecting... domestic market interests and just trying to protect them, and be like, look, this is what this like actually costs, but the yen is weak right now, and we're gonna maybe take a little bit of a loss on the console or something like that.
Yeah.
Or if it's because they really do just expect tariffs to kind of mess up shipping. I mean, in theory, that would be mostly affecting the US, but ripple out effects in some ways.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
It is, it's launching on June 5th as well, which is going to be interesting. I mean, it is just for a nostalgic wave. It's going to be fun to think of like, imagine how exciting this summer is going to be for all the kids in school. Of like, you get out of school and a new Nintendo console launches the same time as summer vacation begins. That's a damn good summer for everybody. But solid date, other than you suckers who are going to SGF, which I guess is Jacob and Kelsey and Janet.
What are you talking about? The Nintendo Switch 2 pickup vlog? Are you kidding? Let's go.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. Leo, what grabbed your interest, man? What do you most want to talk about with this thing?
Really talked about the camera.
Yeah,
which they're leaning into in a big way. 10 years after the Kinect, 10 plus years.
It's so weird.
And it is weird. It's like in a Nintendo way where it's going to be separate. You're going to have to buy the Nintendo Switch 2 camera. It's USB-C, so maybe you could use other webcams with it. I highly doubt Nintendo would do that. Yeah. And it is striking me as weird coming out of that. A lot of the features look fun. Like Jacob said with Mario Party Jamboree, like Nintendo's take on that does seem like they'll find some fun stuff for sure. But it's weird to me that they didn't just put a camera in the console at the top, or like now that they're all leaning in on their phone app so much, letting you use your phone as the camera.
Of course.
And it's weird to me.
Have you ever held a a switch up to your face and like the screen goes off and you see the way your reflection looks. And you're looking down. I don't want a camera on the Switch. I don't want to capture that angle of me.
Sure. That's why it's got the tall mount. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get the MySpace angle from it. Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past them
there
to have like another variation of a camera at some point they could sell. That's like a cute little red one that you put right on there or something. Because like, yeah, the camera there, but then the part that's wild is, I mean, first of all, the mysterious C button for the Switch 2. You press that and that brings up the whole...
So excited when they're like, we're going to tell you what the C button does. I was like, what does it do? Like,
I've never been more excited.
There.
I was so locked in for that C reveal.
Although I'm surprised that with Nintendo these days, I should have just said, you buy the Switch 2 on your own. You press the C button. You tell us what it does. Same way they won't reveal who's developing these games now until...
Check the paid manual of your Switch 2 to find out what the C button does.
But it is GameChat, which is basically Discord, where you can play with a bunch of people and you can show the screens on the bottom to see their gameplay windows running at like 5 frames a second if you want to.
Or their faces.
Or their faces, yes.
Or their faces green screened over the gameplay.
Which I think is super cool. I think, but the part that's
brilliant.
Wild is thinking about like that camera is going to be far away, not close to you, but then also the mic, because if you're not playing handheld, the mic on the console is what you're using for GameChat. And they tried to be like, it'll mute out other sounds. Your voice will sound good, but if you're 10 feet away, 7 feet away from your system playing, that's going to sound like, it's going to sound worse than we speak. Like, there's no way that's going to sound good, right?
They don't have some new proprietary technology that makes that not horrible.
I would have to imagine.
Universally cannot work.
I would think. But then again, maybe no. It's not even like it's an aimed microphone. It's just like the stupid mic on the top. There's no way that's going to sound good.
It's got to just be doing whatever like Discord does with the audio canceling of like, you know, trying to only turn on when they detect your voice. But like, we just don't know how good that's going to be, because what if there are 2 people talking?
Well, how far are people sitting away from their TV? I'm not as far as I should be. I gotta be honest.
Yeah,
I don't think I'm alone in that.
Yeah,
6 feet tops.
I think even though the ad showed beautiful young adults using this, I think fundamentally this is it's a feature for kids, and I think that kids just have a much higher tolerance for terrible audio. Like, I think that's probably how it sounds when they're talking to each other most of the time, and so like, I cannot imagine a situation in which I'd be using the console thing and not like a Discord call on my phone. But like, I just don't think it's designed for me. And I do think that it's like, you know, for me and my friends when we were 10 years old to play Mario Kart online, I do think that it's a solution that I would have been into.
There's a lot of demand for that. And it's like, I personally, as a player, don't necessarily have that direct demand, like that kind of pseudo Discord, but kids love that stuff. Kids love watching streamers.
Yep.
Kids also love FaceTime. Like, I feel like the only FaceTime calls I get are from like younger family members who I'm like, why are you FaceTiming me? Like, what, you know? So I think there's like a lot of excitement there, and VC integrated with Switch has been needed for forever. So I feel like this is cool in that sense. And I think the parental controls seem definitely, that's something we'll have to wait for other parents to talk about how well it integrates into their family. But the camera also has a couple fun gameplay implications, like, can I play Just Dance without holding the Joy-Con?
Ooh.
And one of the games they showed... Yeah, basically.
As Leo pointed out earlier.
It really is just the iToy. And it's also like so much of it too. Leo, I don't know if this hit for you, but I was watching this with my fiance Isaiah, who we all went to Universal together, the Nintendo area.
Oh yeah.
So many of the things were just like it, like the Jamboree stuff on the roller coaster, like
jumping to hit the blocks.
Those rides. Yes,
Interesting.
I'm like, me, Leo, and Sarah played this at Universal, so that was
totally
interesting.
what it felt like.
But the last thing I want to say about the camera is it can be good for really specific gaming use cases. One of the things they showed in their sizzle reel was Goodnight Universe, which is the next game from Nice Dream, the studio that made Before Your Eyes, a game that uses blinking. Now, I don't think this has eye tracking though, so like I don't know, how good it can.
Blinking versus eye tracking. Yeah, I'm curious.
I also don't know
normal
that Goodnight Universe
don't have eye tracking.
Right.
I guess blinking, not eye tracking. I'm thinking of the PSVR having that, but. I don't know offhand what the mechanical integration for Goodnight Universe is, but that's just a thought that I had with the camera, which I honestly I might buy just to already have it, because I'm like, I feel like New Show Plus, we're going to need this at some point. So that's honestly my big reason to buy it. But
Backstage
same
Pass,
as y'all, I probably won't use it myself.
Tame Kitty says the Nintendo site says, quote, compatible USB-C camera required for video features. So it's not saying you need to have the Nintendo camera specifically. So maybe there's an opening for other
a lot of
opportunities
webcams
here.
need drivers.
Yeah, I think their camera is going to be compatible. But maybe they can toggle
yeah.
it later, like the Bluetooth that they turned on one day randomly.
There was so much of this presentation that I was watching that was like, I will never use this other than the craziest Wario game of all time.
That's it.
You know, that like the WarioWare minigame potential with webcam and mouse and speaker, and you know, it's just like the world has opened up.
It's super exciting.
Have we thought about the fashion game potential?
Little pinup clothes.
Ooh.
Yeah, that does seem good.
Could the next fashion dreamer be, or style savvy or whatever?
You are style savvy.
There's something there. There's at least one good afternoon in this camera, and I'm going to invest my $60
and that's more than worth $150.
I think this camera's cool.
Oh, okay. I didn't know they had.
I'm pretty sure it's 60. Yeah, I'll have to grab the price. Everything's everywhere because they didn't name any of the prices for anything.
Super
which
cocky.
I think is absolutely egregious, criminal, slimy, unacceptable. I do not care how much you had to charge for it. I have to pay it. So you should be this is where you're supposed to give me the information on it. It felt like you didn't want to take your L. You're like, we don't want you guys to get mad, so you're gonna have to Google it and read it. And I had like family members asking, like my friend texted me and said, how much is this Switch? Is this, family friendly show? How much is this effing Switch? Because they don't want to tell us. And then she responded, okay, it's $450.
Yep.
F that. That's BS.
Yes.
And that's definitely, it's a ding on the presentation for me. Like, I'm just going to throw that out there.
Yep. By the camera's $50, just in case you're curious, apparently.
Oh, 50.
And so it is
$10 less. I'm saving money. I'm going to need it.
So Kelsey, you're pumped for the camera.
I think, look, I don't know if Nintendo's going to do cooler stuff than just this Mario Party integration, which seems fine. Mm-hmm. But if they do cooler stuff, I think this has such potential. I think they've done weird camera-y things before.
Yes.
And, Game Boy camera and like even with the 64DD and stuff like that.
A photo booth?
Like
a Switch 2 photo booth?
There's a lot of amazing potential with this. Can I talk about a weird fear I have with this? I'm sure Nintendo has talked about this. Like, you can use your camera online. This is ostensibly a kid's console. I know there's going to be parental controls and everything. Like, what's stopping people from taking off their clothes on the camera and playing
I had
Mario
the same
Party
thought, 'cause,
naked?
like, Xbox Uno, the sexual stuff that was happening on the Xbox Uno game was unhinged. And what's up with that? I mean, I don't have an answer, but Kelsey, I had the same thought.
I think there's no chance they let you use a camera unless you have the person's friend code. Like, I don't think there's going to be any game that lets you do a camera with strangers.
But I have friend codes of so many people. Because also you don't need friend codes to be friends, because there are games where you can say, like, did we play together? Let me send you a friend request. So I actually have immense amounts of strangers on my Nintendo Switch, because I'm like, oh yeah, who cares? This is my Nintendo Switch account. We can all be friends. And I'm like, do no one call me. Please don't hit me up. I don't know you. You liked the podcast I did 8 years ago. I'm sorry. I just want to see your Switch activity. I don't want to call you on a voice call.
No, it's just going to be weird to navigate. I'm sure they'll try and lock it down as much as they can. And they're not going to lean into it with game design of having these really public experiences, probably. But yeah, I mean, can I stream a game naked with my friends? As every American should have the right to do. Will they shut me down?
I mean,
it's my system.
You can do that now. You just don't have to have a camera.
What's the point?
But not integrated into the console. But this is my dual fear is, like, I think they could do so many cool things with this camera. I wonder if they're only going to implement this halfway because of fears like that, though.
Yeah,
I think that's more
not
likely,
do anything
is that
interesting with
they
it.
won't let you do cool stuff with it because they will be rightfully so worried about it.
My fear with this is, like, I'm excited. I love Game Boy camera. If we could have a spiritual successor to, like, Game Boy level camera software here, I'm all for it. The fact that with the mouse and the camera, there wasn't a pack-in game, like this would be the chance to show like this is the software baked into your system that lets you have fun with this camera in some way. And the fact that that's not there means they'll have little rinky-dink experiments and charge you $20 for it down the road. Like that sucks. The fun would be if this stuff is baked in. And if it's coming out in June, I don't think we're going to see it. I don't think it exists now. Like this was your opportunity to show that, and it's not there.
You guys know, like, Perfect Dark originally was going to have integration with the Game Boy camera. You could put your face on your Perfect Dark character.
Yes.
Like, I want weird stuff like that, and I'm just worried they're not going to do it, and this is just going to be for chat stuff, and it's going to be boring.
Even then, like, you know, I love that Tim Schafer, our Lord and Savior, when talking about Double Fine's games, he always says, like, Connect Party is our best game. Because I've seen kids play it, and there's just no debate that it's the best game we've ever made. And like, I don't know if you guys have played Connect Party or Happy Action Theater too much, but like, those games are so much fun, and kids' minds explode when it's just, hey, it's your living room, but it's filling with lava, and you have to hide on the couch to dodge the lava. Like, if they have that type of software compatible with this camera, if it is just full Connect level stuff, that sounds incredible. But at the same time, like, if that was baked in, if that was the Switch to, you know, sports, the Wii Sports equivalent, like, oh my God. But if they're just going to have weird rinky-dinky camera experiments, pay us $40 for it, like, it just seems so much less cool.
Indie developers make a Kid Pix.
Yeah.
It is blowing my mind that they have not done Wii Sports again. That they have not done like an obvious. They've had several consoles in between the Wii and now at this point. Like, how have they not looked at that and been like, wow, everyone loved this pack-in game that was like a fun party thing we could all play together. Like, it feels like such a no-brainer to have something. It doesn't have to be that fleshed out.
Nintendo Land, but it was the confidence of like, after the success of the Wii, like we can sell it separately, and then it didn't really take off.
Yeah, and wasn't the Wii problem kind of that people bought that and were like, great, I don't need to buy any more games? You know, like Wii Sports is the only game I'll ever play.
Yeah.
Well, then just give one sport, one camera thing.
Wii Sport.
One
I feel like people should have
Wii
Wii Fit. I feel like Wii Fit sold a good amount, but I think we're just unfortunately maybe past the era of packing games. I know we have Astro's Playroom to say no, these still exist, but no one's really doing packing games anymore.
If Nintendo
like
isn't,
packing games is a sucker's bet, which I kind of get from a business standpoint. They're like, why would I give you a game when I can sell you a game?
Yeah.
What? Like, you know. So, but I mean, I wish that they had that. I think, especially to your point, Kelsey, I think when you have a console that has gimmicks you want to bring forward, the pack-in thrives, and that's really what Astro's Playroom was for the PS5.
Give us a taste of something weird, so that we have an appetite for the weird stuff.
They don't want you to have. They're like, don't taste it. It doesn't taste good. I don't want you to taste it. I don't know. I don't know what is up with that.
The graphics cards always come with codes for games now. That's like a weird pivot. They took that on.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
The game share stuff, where it's a little bit like the DS, is that doing it for you guys? Where you can technically play locally with certain games if you have only one copy?
Yeah.
I loved that with the DS.
It's better than what we had before, which was not really anything. And I think Nintendo is definitely one of the hardest, in my experience, I don't know how y'all feel, consoles to game share outside of just the cartridge aspect. Like at my PlayStation, I can just like go into my account and then boom, all my games are there. With Nintendo, it's like you kind of can do that, but like not really. And I think this is streamlining it a lot better. I mean, I think I'd want more, but this is more than what we had.
Well, then
the virtual cards.
Right. Last week's Direct with the whole virtual cards thing, where it's like, okay, trying to do the math on how this whole thing works, it gets confusing, but at least they're making some inroads there, I suppose. Switch Pro 2 controller now has got 2 buttons on the back. Welcome to the button family. Nintendo's new buttons, GR and GL.
What's the G stand for, what do you think? Do we know?
Grip?
Grab?
Grip. Absolutely. No doubt about it. The cartridges are red
Chat says
now.
gamer. Yeah, that's actually a better answer. The gamer left. The
gamer right,
stands
gamer
for
left.
grip, and GL stands for glip.
Make the gamer L's with your hands.
I mean, big picture stuff, the Switch 2, I think it's fascinating that it just feels like with the success of the Switch 1, and it's like, well, they can't change it up too much, so what do they do to entice you? And the answer is like a bunch of little things and a bunch of fine print details, which we can go into here. But like the fact that the Switch 2 in the big Direct here, they're pushing the camera and some functionality that we could have had on the Kinect back in, 2011? When did the Kinect come out? And then on top of that, then they also were pushing like second screen experiences. The companion app, essentially. It just feels like we're a decade ago from Microsoft.
The tablet.
Right, right. I guess the Wii U tablet thing is also the thing, because
I liked having my map though on that tablet.
It's always the thing that drove me crazy. As someone who played Breath of the Wild on the Wii U,
yes.
I was like, I can tell that it's designed for this thing that they're not letting me use.
So frustrating.
So now, 10 years later, they're adding it back in.
It's so frustrating. And so
I don't like them reading out the directions, though. That kind of creeps me out.
Haley was losing her mind
laugh.
at that.
I was
Okay.
like, ew.
All right, let's explain this. Okay,
yuck.
so this is confusing. So the big thing, which is more generous than I thought they'd be, is Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are both going to have Switch 2 editions on launch day, which is awesome. They could have spaced that out and charged $80 for each, and that seems solid, right? Leo,
you still have to pay for the upgrade.
You do have to pay for the upgrade. If you have Nintendo Switch Online, you don't need to pay for the upgrade. And I don't think they've said how much the upgrade is at this point. But you do get it for free if you have the Switch Online pass, apparently.
Oh, I missed that. Okay.
Yeah.
Me too.
They have an extended video where they go into more details about this, because it's like, okay, having Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom with better frame rate, higher resolution, that sounds awesome. Super excited for it. Like, they have additional save slots now, so if you transfer your game, you can also start a new game with this. You don't have to erase your old game, which seems very important for this type of thing. But then the thing they were selling is, in the Nintendo app, there is now something called Zelda Notes, which is like a full companion app for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. And there's a bunch of weird stuff in there. You can share QR codes of the builds you make in Tears of the Kingdom. You can share items with each other. They have a daily bonus, so you can do like a big roulette thing and get like an effect every day. You have dailies now.
Wow.
Different
Zelda
types of
dailies.
dailies.
I gotta hit my dailies.
There's like
I mean, the amiibo were already kind of like that.
That is true.
I was using them as daily bonuses, so
Nice.
Right.
I guess I was doing my Zelda dailies.
But there's weird stuff in there. Like you mentioned, the voice navigation, where you can look at the map and be like, okay, I'm trying to find this Korok up here. Let me mark it on the map. And then it literally is just like GPS in your car. So I'm be like, climb right here.
Okay, I hadn't thought about this until now, but what is
Rerouting.
the single best part of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom? It's that you can like choose any line to go anywhere, and if there's like a giant mountain in front of you, you can like decide to climb over it. And the idea of like delegating that decision making, which is the entire game, to like a GPS that's telling you to like in 400 feet turn left, just feels insane.
Or as like a you've already gotten through the game and like you need to find this
think so.
Korok.
Right, it's the 100% thing.
You have 8 left, and you're like, where are they at? And they're like, no, here, you idiot. You're drowning. Go back.
Also, in the like funky additional things they add here is they added new VO called memories. So like in addition to like the memories you find just playing the games and stuff like that, they now have like little ones where it's basically like a commentary track from Zelda and then a couple other characters from these games. So you can go into a room and Zelda's like, oh yes, I used to sleep in here. It's like a bunch of just dopey things like that.
This was a really hard day on set for us all.
It's weird, but again, it's like that place where they're kind of stuck of like, well, you got to do something. Like, what fine print features can we cram into this to make it worthwhile for folks to upgrade or go back to these games in some ways? So people like Janet can have her big single player experience at launch. Here you go. Listen to some memories, I guess.
Also, we were so worried about nudity with the Switch camera, but you can share auto builds now.
Yeah,
which means that people are going to be sharing this giant flaming penis
the new way to flirt is just
the 911.
I sent you my giant flaming penis man. Please respond. Yeah, it's kind of.
So that game's getting an upgrade. A bunch of Switch games are getting an upgrade, like Kirby, stuff like that. The Kirby and the Forgotten Lands are going to be getting a
The
big
Kirby
upgrade
DLC bit looks really nice. It's kind of like Crystal Shardsy vibe. I thought that looked cool.
Yeah.
I'll probably jump into that.
Also, there we go.
Ben, you need me to play something so bad, and they only gave me like 2 options.
It'd make me feel better if you did. But then also, Pokemon Legends ZA is coming, and they showed footage of it. It's like, okay, this looks acceptable.
I did think it looked better.
Yep.
It did look better.
We can't puke anymore having seen that. We really did it. You know what doesn't make me want to puke?
Donkey Kong?
MeUndies.
Leo, how did you know that the answer was MeUndies, everybody? Don't puke when you see your underwear anymore. Get new underwear at MeUndies, everybody. Treat yourself.
A uniquely Ben problem.
Right. Like, Jacob, do you know when you like open your underwear drawer, you just want to vomit looking at your old, crappy...
Yeah, then you got to do laundry.
And like moths are flying out, but even the moths are like, be you, from your underwear drawer. This is the role of MeUndies, everybody. They are giving you new, wonderful underwear. I truly think there are probably other people like me who just have never thought about underwear in their lives. If it doesn't have a hole in it, it's better. But you can actually treat yourself to nice feeling underwear that genuinely improves my day. I'm delighted every time I slip on a pair of MeUndies, everybody. They have style for everyone, from all black classics to fun expressive prints. MeUndies has a look for everybody, plus they come in sizes extra small to 4 extra large, guaranteeing a flattering cut for absolutely everybody. Versatile loungewear. Just lounge around your underwear. Never wear clothes again with MeUndies. That's their challenge. Unmatched
And get
comfort.
on that Nintendo camera.
Yes. Tastefully.
in partnership.
Oh my gosh. Yo, that'd be wild.
So they want you to know that good things come in big packages. Oh, please, MeUndies. MeUndies, everybody. Get 20% off your first order plus free shipping on orders of $75 or more. MeUndies.com/MinnMax. Enter promo code MinnMax. That's MeUndies.com/MinnMax. Code MinnMax for 20% off some darn good underwear. MeUndies. Comfort from the outside in, everybody.
I really thought it was going to be a food one. I feel like I won the lottery with that.
Yeah, you really did. And you won a pair of MeUndies. Congratulations, Leo. Used from me.
Yay.
There's other stuff we haven't hit yet. I mean, it seemed like one of the biggest pops we had was some new IP from Nintendo, which we've all been craving. Because when we all saw the tease of the mouse, when we learned there's going to be a mouse for Nintendo, we're all wondering, what does that mean? Does it mean Civ 7 is coming to the Switch? Well, yes, of course. But what would a new Nintendo IP fully taking advantage of the mouse look like? And the answer, of course, is a game called Drag and Drive. Or Drag Cross Drive, as it's spelled out. Can someone explain what Drag and Drive is?
It's a wheelchair basketball game.
It's a
3v3.
Yes, hell
Let's
yeah.
do
Pointers
Ooh.
and 3-pointers and modifiers for doing tricks, doing spin dunks and whatnot.
It.
You use 2 mice for reasons unknown. First time ever in gaming.
Well, so you can
right
wheel
here.
the two.
Wheels.
Come on, it makes total sense, Jen. You got to wheel both wheels of the wheelchair.
Pull one side to turn.
It does make sense in the sense of wanting to show that you can use them both at the same time. Yes.
Do you think that Nintendo will court, for the sake of marketing and maybe out of genuine goodwill, like actual basketball players who are in wheelchairs? Is that going to be like a video?
It's not a Nintendo. That's not a thing they do.
I know.
They don't acknowledge the existence of real people.
But
They
if
don't know this is
Yeah.
a real concept. They thought they made it up.
No, Ariana Grande did play Labo on with Jimmy Fallon or something when that came
there's
out.
celebrities, yeah, but I wonder like the idea of like, hey, we can, this is like an accessibility thing. We can show that like we're representing people who are great at the sport, which check out the documentary Murder Ball, by the way, if you want to see a great documentary about this exact sport that Nintendo invented today.
Right.
I mean,
I
maybe in a
legitimately-
commercial or something. But
Okay, all right.
I do think like this is a cooler use case for a game where you use 2 mice than anything I would have come up with. You know, like when this popped up on screen, we were both like, "Oh, I did not think that they would do this kind of thing." And I think it's really cool.
Just imagining the multiplayer scenario where everyone's leaning down on their coffee table, grinding it like it's a wheelchair.
Yeah, I think
It's so
you know,
silly.
from like a ergonomics perspective, it's going to be a nightmare, but
Right.
like, that's for then.
my prediction is in like a year, there's going to be, you know how there's like tennis elbow and like these specific named strains? I think there's going to be like a Switch 2 mouse related stress injury.
Lower back problem, yeah.
Yo, are people?
I was wondering, just in terms of like design hardiness, like are these controllers designed so they can just be like scrubbed back and forth on a table all day? Like it seems like if the previous Switch controllers had problems with drift, like this could be even worse.
Yeah. So Dragon Drive coming summer 2025. So there you go, Janet. Even more. You can't get away from these games that they're lobbing at you. In good single player stuff, like there's probably going to be a campaign in Dragon Drive. No, probably not.
Don't make me talk about this game. I refuse to talk about this game. And Nintendo's never going to talk about it ever again.
How dare you? The biggie, the big dog in the house, Donkey Kong. This is right at the end.
Got my
here.
prediction. There we go. Boom. Spoilers for next year.
It was so close to my prediction of I really wanted a 3D Donkey Kong with Mario riding on the back of him. I thought that's where we're going. And instead, we just get like a purple
There's
little
still time,
gem.
Ben. You don't know what's in that game.
I mean, that's true. We do see something riding on the back of him, but it's a little purple gem thing, which is like, oh, it's so close to the exact prediction I had about somebody riding on Donkey Kong. But of course, this is called Donkey Kong Bananza, forever dooming how kids will spell Bonanza, which we need to have, I think, as part of the standard education system. But it's Bananza now, like banana.
Does everyone else use that song? Bananas.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Now we need to add a Z.
Yeah.
ZA.
Thoughts on this thing?
I with Nintendo stuff like this and like most things, I find it pretty easy to avoid, pretty easy to just, it doesn't cross with my interests. I don't have to get one. I don't really have to feel FOMO for not being involved. But this game, I was surprised how interested I was by it. It having like, the gimmick being destruction is really strong, of like carving away at the earth and digging in. That looks really good. And it just, you can tell it's going to feel really good with the rumble and stuff.
Also thinking Donkey Kong got his start in construction. On a construction yard, you know, with the arcade game, and now it's all about destruction. Do you think like the last level is going to be him like tearing down those buildings? Like, I always hated him. That's why I was sitting on top of it. I was just looking for a way to topple it.
No, he decides to build, and it's a prequel.
Oh, yeah.
Although he does kind of start that game by jumping up and down and smashing it and making it.
Yeah, you're right. So
That's true.
That is like the first thing we saw Donkey Kong do was tear down a building. So why not have him just tear through everything? Now, the idea of like them leaning into the underground mining angle, it's like, I guess the mine carts are kind of an iconic part of Donkey Kong now, but that's such a funny idea to be like, okay, mine carts, mining, underground. Now it seems like him and all his friends are official miners, and all they do is dig through the ground and tear through it in a certain type of way that Jacob Geller had the killer joke. Please, the floor is yours, sir.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Red Faction Gorilla.
Wow.
Red Faction Gorilla, everybody. Incredible. Oh, that's an option? Good Lord. I was most excited about this game. Pros and cons. Pros, I freaking love how goofy Donkey Kong's face is. Like, yes, he has the new design from the new Mario Kart, which is awesome, but then there's so many moments in this trailer where it just shows him like, like making some stupid, wacky, over-the-top face, like having just really expressive, silly Donkey Kong in this style. I love they're leaning into that. Number one con, we don't know who's developing this game. It'd be awesome if it was the Tokyo team that made Mario Odyssey. It looks like it could be, but the fact that they wouldn't say that has me really suspicious that it's probably not, and they're probably working on 3D Mario instead, right?
Nintendo not saying something? I am shocked.
It's just bizarre that they wouldn't say who's developing this. It drives me nuts.
It's half of what they do is bizarre.
But usually, like, they don't say, like, who's developing it when it's, you know, Princess Peach Showtime. But, like, this is a big deal.
Well,
Sorry, Princess
we don't
Peach.
know who's, like, technically we
Why
don't know
Showtime
who's developing, like, the Mario
She's gone through
Kart
enough,
game,
okay?
right?
It's bad enough that our game wasn't good. Now you gotta just...
Sorry, Jacob, what?
Like,
No, we don't know.
The
Mario Kart
only
game.
developer that they said in the whole thing was Sakurai.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I
Right?
guess
Like,
that's
they
true.
didn't tell us, like, this team is making this Mario Kart game.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it's just assumed the Mario Kart team is making the follow-up and stuff, but this seems like a huge question
The
mark.
information also just isn't very gleamable, like, on other sources, because I think most presentations don't necessarily always point out the studio, but yeah, Nintendo just has been very closed off about that in the last couple of years, and that's just how they're going to operate moving forward.
It's frustrating, but it does look awesome. You know, the fact that it's not a platformer, it's just an action game all about burrowing and finding new secrets as you're digging through the... I'm curious about the controls for some of those. Where
I mean,
it's like,
I think it's a platformer.
they
still.
describe it just as an action game. The official site just says
Really?
action game, yeah.
Well, if the site says that, then I guess that's just what it is. I know you still jump in that game. I mean, it's not as platform oriented as like 2D, but
Right.
I mean, Ratchet's a platformer, and it's mostly like a game with gadgets and guns.
Right.
But you can destroy all the platforms in this one.
Perfect.
Deep
I don't know. I'm
Me.
very looking forward to just like that's kind of the best part of Astrobot, right? Is like just kicking stuff, all the little things everywhere, and yeah. And so this is just the Donkey Kong version of that. I just get to kick a bunch of rocks and dirt and destroy things. It's great.
Plus it is
I
wild
think the level
after...
design looked very Astrobot-y.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, and a special shout out to Haley, who on Pew Pew Bang said that Peter Jackson's King Kong was her like girl rage game, and now she has almost like you could not make a more direct game based on that statement than this.
Peter Jackson's Donkey Kong Bonanza. Absolutely. By the way, Janet, I'm going to give a full 180 mea culpa. The YouTube description apparently it says brand new 3D platforming action adventure game. I'm not sure where I pulled that just specific action thing from, but there we go. Curious to learn more about Donkey Kong Bonanza, obviously. One of the, again, biggest surprises of this whole thing is a very cryptic, awesome trailer, a trailer that only a master of marketing could produce. And it turns out it's a sequel to Kirby Air Ride, and Sakurai is coming back to direct it. The idea of Sakurai coming back to do a Kirby game is so exciting. The fact that he would choose specifically to do Air Ride, like that GameCube game that he also was the director of, that he clearly loves, it's such a wild choice.
I mean, if you watch those Sakurai Explains, one in the last one, he said, I knew I had this much time before I needed to start working on a new game. So we knew who's making something. It's like, Kirby Air Ride comes up a lot in those videos. And it does feel like it was just kind of on his mind.
Yeah, apparently, yeah. They have the whole like history of Air Ride, I think, is one of his videos that he made on his YouTube channel. But, you know, there's a part of me that's super excited to have Sakurai come back for a Kirby game, come back and make a game, period, is incredible. There's also a part of me that's like, God, I was kind of hoping he would kind of spread his wings and do something new. We haven't had new IP from Sakurai since Smash Brothers. I mean, right? I was, hoping, and he's getting up there. I don't know how many more games he's going to be able to direct, but I'm very happy for all the Kirby Air Ride super fans like Sarah, and I assume other people on this call as well. I mean, is anyone else like that original game?
Well, hot take, I think Kirby Air Ride is a really cool game if the GameCube is new and you're like 10 years old.
Right.
I think it is not a game that holds up. I think it is a super, on Pew Pew Bang, we were talking about kind of like play and explore within games, and I think that's a fantastic game for like the hardware at the time, for like exploring and playing in a big field and everything. I think it's really cool for that. Not one that holds up super well, but I do think that like a fresh start at this point could actually be really interesting.
Yeah, and so it's coming.
I will say I was surprised to see it the same year as Mario Kart.
Totally, that's the
only
big
thing that I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I know. You think they want to space out their racing games a little bit. Maybe it'll get bumped. I guess you never know. But I wonder, just is Sakurai capable of just making like a simple, streamlined game at this point? I feel like all of his games, he just packs more and more features and modes into it. And if there's ever a game streaming or like screaming for just simplicity, it feels like it'd be Kirby's Air Ride. But then again, at the same time, like, there was the weird battle royale mode in that original game that Sarah was a big fan of that we streamed for Extra Life. Like even that original game had plenty of offshoots and weird modes, so it could keep him busy forever.
Which Mario Kart also has now. Mario Kart just has everything you need from a racing game. It's hard to compare. But yeah, I do think this is a chance for Air Ride to maybe be better than it was before. Because Kelsey, it's funny, after the discussion on PB Bang, I booted up Air Ride through means of my own. Don't worry about how I played it. And I'm like, yeah, it is kind of, it's a bit auto-y, but there's definitely a lot of, I think, vibrance and fun there. And I do think, granted, the first thing they showed was more of like the cinematic than like gameplay, but it looked really good. I mean, Kirby always just looks so vibrant and fun that it's got a shot, I think. Yep. And I'm happy that Sakurai is making stuff, just because I'm like, good for you. Sakurai can do what he wants. I'm like, you can just do whatever. I hope you're happy. You seem happy. And that's good enough for me.
Well, he seems sufficiently stressed out and burned out and tired, but you know what? He's
I think he likes to be tired, though. I think he's toxic, that's what makes him happy. He's sick, and now he's doing his sicko thing,
There was a while where
live your life.
There was a while where we wanted him to just retire, but now it's like, okay, he just like needs this to live and will die the second he stops.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. it's the Hayao Miyazaki thing where he's like, this is my last game, and then he's like, well, I'm 90 years old, I can make another game.
Yeah, what else am I gonna do? Die? Come on.
Right.
Third-party stuff. A lot of great announcements. It seems like just like exactly who you'd want to be there is going to be there. Like Hades 2 is going to be launching later this year on Switch 2, which is, oh my God, that's going to be so huge to have that on Switch 2.
Is that going to be a launch game?
No, they just said later this year. And so it'd be awesome if it was a launch game, but maybe Supergiant doesn't even know when that game's technically going to be ready.
Right, if they're just going to wait till it's out of early access, because I followed Streets of Rogue on Switch and it was like really delayed on the updates, and that might have been the case for a lot of games like that, where it's just like harder to get updates through there versus on Steam or wherever.
Yeah. Third party wise, those are some that pop for you guys?
There's one.
Yes.
Deltarune?
Hollow Knight Silksong, which is, maybe the most anticipated game in the industry other than like GTA right now, and did officially say 2025. So maybe we'll see it.
The funny thing, it's, it wasn't a whole segment. It was literally in the montage at the end of the direct too. It's like, by the way, Silksong 2025, don't pay attention to this, whatever.
It's so crazy that like every single direct for the past 5 years, every single person in the chat is spamming Silksong, and for it to like technically be present and you see it for less than 10 seconds is
it's perfect. I feel like, third party wise, they were killing it. I mean, just the amount of stuff that they announced is going to be coming here. Tony Hawk 3 and 4. There's a SpongeBob tease, of course. We all saw that coming. Bravely Default, Flying Fairy HD is coming. Yakuza 0 Director's Cut. Oh yeah, Hyrule Warriors: Age of Imprisonment. I guess kind of a confusing thing. Koei Tecmo's developing that, but there's a new Zelda game that's coming in the winter apparently. Deltarune, Janet, you dropped that one.
Yeah, and that is a launch game, so that's something to do.
Yeah,
which again, that's just naturally like when you're gonna boot it up, you want like, what am I doing? And you're doing whatever you can do. I mean, it's why all of us played like Fast RMX, which is still a great game. I think that game is good, but we were hungry, so we went to the streets of Fast RMX, and it was fun. So
stop saying we, Janet. Don't put that on us. Don't put your Fast RMX game on us.
Whoa, have you not? Oh, did you not? That rumble? When the HD rumble was rumbling? Oh my gosh, it was like a old flip phone and a school desk. It was wild.
I still don't know what name we've been saying.
Fast RMX, come on, Leo.
Fast RMX, but yeah, that's
is Deltarune done? Are 3 and 4 like that? Those are the ending chapters?
Yes. Yep. That's going to be, so this is the follow-up to Undertale. Like the first 2 episodes you can technically get, and then episodes 3 and 4, drop in at the launch of the Switch. That is going to be massive. Like having the Undertale community dive in finally, because I imagine there's a lot of people that are probably, is everybody on this call in that same camp of like just waiting for every Deltarune to be out before we jump in and even try the first one?
Yeah.
I played the first 2 chapters already.
Oh, how were they?
They were really good.
Okay.
And I had a weird experience with Undertale through fault of my own. I was playing it for work. I just could use the guide, so I kind of had like a weird experience with it. But Deltarune, I really had a good time, even though I also hadn't really played that for work as well. But I'm excited for this, and it's been very anticipated. Cool to see like a big indie get like that for the Switch too. And I think that's important. I think one part of looking for what's launched, but also what's down the road, is a breadth of experiences and excitement around. Like I think one thing that's so exciting about the FromSoft thing is if you can get someone like that, people are perking up, looking over. Whoa, wait, should I be over there? And that's going to potentially propel the console into a really good spot for the holistic ecosystem. Like you can't win right now, but you can kind of start to lose. And I think as much as third party maybe isn't that exciting to see, because it's like, I played this already or whatever. You need that because it shows like the vitality of the system and that there's stuff going on here. I was like, oh, Hitman. I'm like, that's Leo. And again, Leo, I don't know if you're replaying like whatever Hitman thing is on Switch, but the fact that that's on there and there's like speaking to different sensibilities is really important. And big indie get hyped for as a launch too. I think that also speaks to their faith and excitement in that as a project, which I think is cool.
By the way, we were totally wrong. Oh, hang on, real quick, Leo. Don't you dare talk about that game you're excited for. Deltarune's apparently going to be 7 chapters.
7 really?
Chapters.
Apparently,
That's
7.
A lot of chapters.
Wait a minute, Leo.
Are you sure?
Because 007.
Leo, please, we're trying to talk about Deltarune.
Sorry.
Are you sure? Because I read an article today from Rebecca Valentine that mentioned that was the end. Where are you reading 7 from?
On Wikipedia, it says Deltarune's narrative spans 7 chapters.
But okay, let us know in the comments.
Article in 2019.
Wait a minute, Jacob, did you say 7? Like as in 007? Leo, the floor is yours.
Weird that no one else on this call made that connection.
You want to talk about Amazon's acquisition of the brand?
Yeah, that sounds great. The broccoli.
R.I.P. Barbara Broccoli.
Yeah, come on, Barbara.
They showed it briefly, 7-second trailer. Whoa, I wonder actually.
Oh my god,
that's crazy.
Civ 7, Cyberpunk 2077, Final Fantasy 7 remake. What's happening, you guys?
Whoa. I think it was technically a new trailer, but it was nothing. It was like going through a gun barrel or whatever, classic 007 stuff. No date, nothing new. But to Janet's point, it was like, okay, so this big game that is coming out in the future will have a Switch version. And maybe that seems totally obvious, but the Switch has been around for so long now. And so it's been so long since it kept up, it feels like. That now to go like, yes, we are locked in for the future of being one of the places you can play brand new high fidelity games. That did feel like something.
Yeah, for sure. They're covering all.
Sorry,
the
I do have an update on the Deltarune thing. That was my bad. Misread the article. My bad, Rebecca. It says the total number of chapters is still unknown, but the menu screen has previously seemed to hold room for 7 total, meaning that two more may be on the way. The anticipation for these latest chapters has only grown last year, with Fox confirming last Halloween that 3 and 4 would 100% come out in 2025. So yeah, it seems like there might be more to it. Not sure if that's going to automatically be populated, if that's paid, like what the structure for that looks like. Still exciting, but I think maybe that kind of takes a little bit of it away, because I do think there's a lot of people that like to play stuff when it's complete, like, a 1.0 instead of early access.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of a tough one.
All right, well, Ben, I lost the other game I was going to play, so I'm back to Mario Kart. But you know what? when I hit them tracks, watch out.
Hell yeah.
Deltarune Chapter 1 came out in 2018.
Oh my god.
Like this is like a Kentucky Route Zero length development here, where it's like it's going to be like a decade
210s
plus.
alert. Let's go.
Oh god. I am genuinely excited that Konami, they're out here releasing games, everybody. Everyone dunks on them, but they're releasing a new Survival Kids, which Kelsey, I heard you also pop. Now, we should point out, this is important because the entire stream crashed during this, which is a huge technical F-up that we haven't acknowledged yet, but that seems wild that Nintendo America stream just did not work. It was like glitching before that, and it was out of sync.
And lagging, yeah.
Yeah, and then suddenly now it just crashed during the Survival Kids trailer. But Survival Kids, which it's a game that I've always wanted to play. It's a Game Boy survival game from Konami that then is kind of the spiritual predecessor, Kelsey. What is the relationship to Lost in Blue? Is that it?
They're all Survival Kids. Like, they're all part of the same series. I don't know order in terms of like if they're in the same universe and like sequels or whatever to each other. I don't think so, but yeah, so the Survival Kids / Lost in Blue, I mean, the last one we got was the Wii one, which would have been like 08 09.
Are they as good? I think I played the one on DS. Are they as good as I want them to be? Do you feel like a new Survival Kids could be a cool angle for co-op with you stranded on a beach?
I think it could be cool. I've really only dabbled with the Game Boy one, or the first Game Boy one, I guess. But I thought it was, like, for the time it came out, just a really interesting game. And I don't know if it continues to be interesting now, or it's more like this is a really cool Game Boy game. Right. But I don't know. I think it's interesting because it's been almost 2 decades since we've had one.
Yep. Super exciting. Speaking of 2 decades, you know what happened 2 decades ago plus like 5 years? A little thing called the GameCube released. And this was the big reveal as well. Man, they packed this thing full that GameCube games are coming to Switch Online with the expansion pack. And
Wind Waker's here.
Oh my God, Nintendo. They're sitting on an HD version of Wind Waker, and they give us at launch Wind Waker in SD, the original GameCube version, which no doubt, great game. At the same time, it's like, now everyone's going to have this hemming and hawing.
It is incomprehensible. Like, it would seem, you would hear it and be like, oh, there must be some song that they don't have rights to in Wind Waker, and that's why they can't do the HD version. Like, what is happening over there? Did they just lose, like, the code for them?
But it charges $70. People will pay it for the HD version of Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. Get them out the damn door. But instead, they want to push you to their subscription service. Like, I thought for sure it was going to be like, all right, GameCube's here, but we'll have Luigi's Mansion at launch. Stay tuned. But no, the fact that they're getting out of the gate with the most complicated game with Wind Waker, the most complicated release schedule because of that tease of the HD version, it's just a mess.
Yeah, everyone knows subscriptions are just more money. You're just going to get more money getting people on a subscription than buying $70 thing once. And they won't get you to do that if they have it both places.
Yeah, I guess so.
I do think this is the most compelling that the membership has been. And I know we can look at that from a negative standpoint of I have to get the subscription to like get these different things. But at the same time, I think that's also, it's like a push and pull because you also want, if you have a subscription service, it should be appealing and I should feel like I need to have it if you have it. And I think they're finally kind of getting there. And I know we can kind of debate on if we like how they're going about it, but this is the first time where I'm like, I really need to make sure that I have this now going forward.
Yep. And the fact that they have also a GameCube that's wireless, like, doesn't look like the Wavebird, looks like the classic, but it's wireless, and they add like the C button on there. It's USB-C. Like it's a cool idea of being able to play Chibi Robo on your Switch 2 now, which is going to be coming. Gale of Darkness is coming soon. Everyone relax.
I want to point out that like what they launched with is maybe not the most intuitive GameCube games to include, but it includes a lot of the most expensive on the secondary market GameCube games, which I think is smart. So I mean, Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, that's over $200. Chibi Robo, over $200. Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, over $200. Like, these are, and Pokemon Coliseum even, it's like $150 or something like that. I mean, like, they're getting a lot of these, like, heavy hitters out of the way, which I think is, I don't know, this is a nice consumer-friendly win if you're doing a subscription, I guess. Like, if you're doing a subscription, do put some of these games that are otherwise crazy expensive to get on there. So I'm glad they're doing that.
Do you think there's any way that was thought through, that was a plan, or they just wanted to go for, we can't launch all of our biggest games out of the gate? Like Sunshine is maybe cheaper on the second-hand market, but also so popular. Is it just a happy coincidence?
Could be. But I mean, it was like noticeable to me. I was like, oh, these are the expensive ones. I mean, the only ones that are more expensive than that are either like weird special editions of things or like Gotcha Force and Cubivore and Go-Go Hypergrind, I guess. Like there's only like 3 games.
That's genuine. I've been wanting to play it for so long because it seems really cool, but it's mad expensive. And
like
Ben rejected my What If We Did Initial Plus? That was the most expensive things we all want, and we just get to buy them for ourselves. Why that didn't get picked up? Who's to say?
It's tough to say.
Yeah, just a band each episode.
But I mean, other things. There's a lot of things in here. A new version of Wild Hearts, which is weird. That's going to be coming to Switch, and expect that to make it in here. But a ton of Borderlands 4 is coming. Did we miss anything for anybody else they wanted to unpack here?
I mean, it was announced as a Switch 2 game, even though the trailer wasn't as long as last week, but Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah.
I'm excited for. I think visually, it's not like the art direction looks great. It's not like blowing me out of the water with kind of high fidelity. But when that music kicked in the trailer, I was like, oh, I'm there. You know, it was weird how like auditory it was, where I thought this looks pretty good, and then as soon as they started piping in those Metroid Prime synths, I was like, oh wait, I love this series.
You also kind of lock on in that game, right? In that franchise, first person lock on to shoot, you can use the mouse for aiming, and I wonder if you still lock on mostly, or if that's like an alternate aiming scheme. But it makes me interested to play it that way.
Yeah, it's gonna be funky. Like it is in the reaction stream to last week's Nintendo Direct. You know, I was talking with Kelsey, but like it does kind of look like Halo 4. It's a weird comparison, but like I think just going down to like this kind of jungle planet of Vuros and stuff. But I will say it really melted my heart to see that this thing is going to look and run well on the Switch too, because it was definitely a little bit switchy with the resolution in last week's Direct, but it's like, okay, no, we can have a great time with Metroid Prime 4. They're not relegating the Metroid series to the past generation like they did when they launched Metroid Samus Returns months after the Switch came out, and everyone's like, well, why would I play that on my 3DS? I don't want to do that. But to have like a big new meaty Metroid Prime game is super exciting. And the premise here is Samus has psychic powers this time around. She's glowing purple and has a red suit, and she can open doors with her psychic mind. So, you know, pretty good.
Purple's the psychic color.
That's what we can all agree on. Let's unite the nation with those wise words there. There's a part of me, without spoiling anything, there's a part of me that I'm so into how weird the end of Metroid Dread was. It's like it's a little bit of a bummer that like it's not the continuation there timeline wise. That this is technically before that. I'm like, I just want to see where they go next, because that was the weirdest note you could end.
They don't know.
Like, right.
I don't know. It was fun.
You'll find out in 8 years.
Yep. And it's going to be fun to have Metroid Prime 5 where she gets Metroided at the beginning and loses all of her psychic abilities and whatnot as she goes throughout this. But that's going to be a big one. And still no date on it other than 2025, which I thought they were going to save that when they teased it last week for the Switch 2 thing, but apparently not. Hey, Leo Vader, you know what's being saved right here now? DraftKings, everybody. No, in fact, I gave Kelsey a tour of the ads that we've rejected on the MinnMax show, and it's just a big list of like DraftKings, all that sports betting and stuff. So you won't hear that here. So if you appreciate that,
but sign up to the Pew Pew Bang feed to get nonstop sports betting.
We did joke about that idea of like, what if Pew Pew Bang was just nothing but like boner pill ads? Just like
all manscaped all the time.
But if you appreciate the fact that we don't have gross ads like that, you can help support MinnMax directly by going to patreon.com/MinnMax with 2 N's. Shout out to Discount Dad Jokes, who jumped in at the $5 tier, got themselves a code if you jump into that $5 tier for Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. Wonder jumped in.
Do you think they know Jorby?
I think they might. They're in the same bucket. Wonder jumped in at the $10 tier, and Lunick Lore jumped in at the $50 tier, the Wall of Heroes tier, which means if you jump into the $50 tier on Patreon, you can put a promotional image on every MinnMax video throughout the month of April. So there's still time to do it. So if you want to jump in and promote your passion project, your podcast, your indie game, your small business, anything like that, a picture of your pet, a loved one, wedding picture, whatever you like, for $50, it'll be seen over 1 million times, which is a pretty darn good deal. So help support independent games media and get a nice promotion for whatever you want to get more eyeballs on it, everybody. Also, real quick, I keep seeing it pop up in the back end and it freaks me out. You should know, if you jump in on Patreon to support us, don't do it through the App Store. Like, there's a Patreon app and they charge extra. Apple's taken a cut of that. So I keep seeing people jumping in at like $7.50. I'm like, there's no $7.50 tier. Oh crap, that's Apple adding extra fees. So go directly through a browser or anywhere other than the App Store, the Patreon app, to sign up for us on Patreon, please. So Apple doesn't take their lousy cut. But shout out to our dear friends at I'm8bit. They want everybody to know about Ori and the Blind Forest, specifically the vinyl soundtrack to Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori and the Will of the Wisps. They have the vinyl soundtrack available in I'm8bit's wonderful online store. Looks beautiful, sounds even more beautiful. Music by Gareth Coker, of course, it's fantastic. And you can go to I'm8bit's wonderful online store, use the promo code for this month, Happy Birthday, Mr. Rossetti. Did you know that it's Mr. Rossetti's birthday this month, Kelsey?
I did not. No.
Wow, there you go. Fun fact. So happy birthday, Mr. Rossetti from Animal Crossing. All one word, all caps, for 10% off of everything in I'm8bit's wonderful online store. And please help support I'm8bit because they support the MinnMax community in a big bad way. Each and every week they ship out a prize to whoever has the best community questions submitted over there on Patreon. This week, whoever has the best question wins Shim, the I'm8bit exclusive PS5 version of Shim. Remember that game where you're like jumping through the shadows and stuff? Cool. So here we go. You ready to look alive for all these questions?
Yeah.
I have one more thing I want to say about the Switch real quick. I'm sorry. I should have jumped in before this.
It's allowed, please.
But thank you. They're doing something really interesting with anti-scalping measures, which is pre-orders look like it looks like there's not going to be enough stock. Shocking, like every console release at this point. They are opening like interest on the website. You get priority if you have purchased Nintendo Switch Online for a full year.
Okay.
For a minimum of 12 months, yeah. And then you must have at least 50 total gameplay hours. So basically,
wow,
you can't bot this thing, at least through the Nintendo site. They are prioritizing people who have actively played their Switch 1 and spend money on it.
And you think,
Yeah,
so all thumbs up on
I
the
was
system?
trying to puzzle this out because there's another image that I saw because I was like, what does the year mean? Can I buy a year of Nintendo Switch Online now? Because like I'm not currently subscribed. But there's another thing that says has been a Nintendo Switch Online member for at least 2 years continuously by March 31st, 2025, with an active membership on the day the pre-order is placed. So
I'm looking at the Nintendo US site. That could be the Japanese one has slightly different language. That could maybe be the European one or something.
Right. Yeah, no, because I saw this and the site was like, it just said like has a 12-month membership on April 2nd, which is today. And I was just like, yeah, is it already too late to get on that list? You know, or can you?
I think so. That's my guess. Yeah. Especially because the Japanese one gates it back to February.
Oh. That seems like a good system, though, to try and deal with just the drowning we're all going to be doing with the pre-orders here.
I think so too. It's like it's imperfect, of course. There's holes in this, but like in terms of just preventing it from all being bots and scalpers, I mean, it's like, look, if you can prove with like money and time that you were already interested in Nintendo stuff, like you get priority. I think that's a decent way to do it.
Yeah, that seems cool. Patrick G writes in, they say, hey, all, how many Switch 2 games will be in the 210s? Great question.
Like exclusives?
Yeah, let's say exclusives. So for this year, Donkey Kong Bonanza probably going to be a contender for the 210s, right?
Yeah.
Dragon Drive probably in the higher bracket. We'll have to put Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom in there as well because we can't really diss those games in any way. Mario Kart World over My Dead Body, is that going to make it into the 210s? So the answer is 2?
I mean, Metroid Prime.
Metroid Prime. Okay, so 3. All right, there we go.
Well, if it's exclusive to...
Well,
I guess that will be a
on
Switch
Switch, right?
Yeah, Nintendo. Yeah, it's also going to be, it's confusing. Jump on Everything says, will the Switch 2 be as successful as the Switch 1? Simple question. What do y'all think?
No.
If the price goes down.
I think it'll be super successful, but I don't think it's going to be a Switch 1.
I think it's nearly impossible. Just Googling now to see. Yeah, I mean, the Switch 1's at 151 million units.
Yeah.
That's
more complimentary
you're asking
Switch
it
1 than a disc to the 2, you know?
Yeah.
You're asking it to be like one of the top 3 most successful systems of all time in order to beat the Switch 1. So that's a high bar.
Yeah.
I mean, if Nintendo can make it so there's another pandemic and they can release an Animal Crossing at the beginning of that, then maybe we'll talk.
I'm
They
listening.
did engineer the last one.
Yeah, keep it up. Jarrell Pryor writes in, what are the odds we ever get a Switch 3? Yeah, it's like, are they going to have to shake this
low.
up? I think low. Like, it's amazing they have this, but like, they got to shake it up next time around, right? 7 years from now, whatever the heck. Like, yeah, I don't think we're getting that Switch 3, but it'd be interesting. It'd be kind of a white flag of defeat, I feel like, creatively, but I don't know, right?
Oh, I could see this being the way Nintendo consoles are. I feel like it's like them being able to consolidate handheld and console into one thing, I think, is a big success. And of course, the Switch is a big success.
I think it might be that they just might not call it Switch 3.
Could be. Yeah.
Sure.
But it'll still be a handheld.
Max BC. Each new Nintendo system has a noteworthy new design element that you aren't seeing on other systems, but they don't always end up getting used to their full potential. What are some of the coolest, in theory, features or controls from Nintendo console history that you saw opportunities for but never got used in that way?
I just think of the 64DD mostly.
Yeah.
Which just had a lot of potential and just seemed like it was a wreck of a piece of hardware. So it just kind of, they kept taking things out of it until it became a basically Mario artist machine that only came out in Japan. But I mean, the initial pitch had like Virtual Console on it. It had like all kinds of really interesting things that would have been way ahead of their time. It just didn't really work out. They didn't have the like good tech for that. But I also think, I don't know, like so much of their interesting stuff I think comes from an earlier age where now there's easier ways to do things. Like this Teleview, super cool. They were broadcasting entire games and like
Yes.
Live music and stuff through satellite, and like you don't need to do anything weird like that anymore to still have those similar experiences. But like, if we had that in the States, can you imagine how cool that would have been? There was like little, you created your little character and you had an avatar and you walked around and you like played Zelda as yourself. And I mean, there's like all kinds of cool stuff that I guess it's not so much that Nintendo didn't do, it's that they didn't do anywhere else in the world.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
I feel like the Wii Motion Plus just showed up too late. Because it was like, oh, this was the promise that they had from the beginning of the console.
Yes.
And it really only got that new Wii Sports and Skyward Sword, and other than that, it was kind of
Red Steel 2
neglected. Red Steel 2.
Don't forget. Cedric Diggory writes in and says, hey, everybody, as the Switch life cycle is dying down, I decided to look through my playtime and I was surprised at how few hours I've put into some games and how many I've put into others. For example, I thought it took me an eternity to beat Metroid Dread. Turns out it was only 10 hours. Whereas I haven't even scratched the surface of Tears of the Kingdom and have already spent 60 hours messing around in there. Have there been any games that have warped your sense of time in the same way?
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. What do you got?
I'm definitely surprised by some of the games that my most played on Steam. Mostly because it's been so long since most of them have been surpassed. Warframe is still on there with 84 hours. Marvel's Avengers is like my 10th most played on Steam.
How many hours?
80 hours?
80 hours. Wow, okay.
DayZ from forever ago, 70 hours.
I recently did I did a Nebula video that was like my top 10 most played games on Steam, and both modern XCOMs are in there. And it's like, I don't think, like, if I was making like a top 25 games or something, they wouldn't immediately occur to me, but I'm like, oh yeah, if I start an XCOM campaign, I'm playing that thing for like 50 hours.
Right. Did you see, by the way, that leaked screenshot of the Star Wars XCOM like? That BitReactor, the former art director for Firaxis, he started this BitReactor studio, and they're now partnering with Respawn to make a Star Wars strategy game. And there were screenshots that leaked, and it's just 100% Star Wars XCOM in a way that I'm sure the Marvel Midnight Suns team is like, damn it, people are excited about that. We tried to shake it up and we got punished because people complained about cards, but it just looks like,
wow.
Yeah, it is exactly that.
Looks cool.
Yeah. See, there we go. That's all you need. Mike Lynch says, hey, when watching or listening to interviews, what's one thing that makes it unsuccessful to you when you're watching an interview? A bunch of stuff.
When you give the person the answer of the question you're asking, or two answers to the question you're asking. Like, what do you think is the best thing you've done? Was it this or that? And then they're going to just pick one of them. Yep,
for sure. Or when the question, and we run into this problem all the time, people are so in love with their question that they don't care about the answer. That happens all the time. And number one pet peeve is like, just when the interviews are really stiff and it doesn't sound like they're actually wondering this question. It's how is it you're asking really smart people, typically, if you're doing interviews right, hopefully, somebody that's smarter than you, that has had more experience than you're asking them questions and somehow it doesn't sound genuine. It's like, I don't know how that's possible unless you just genuinely aren't interested in their answer. Like, how can you ask just in this stiff way? It drives me nuts.
I think interviewing is a difficult skill because it requires both like being prepared enough to ask a bunch of good questions and then also being able to like actively listen and build off of those questions.
Yes.
And I think that latter part is difficult. Like I don't know. I don't know a lot of people who are amazing at it. Ben, you're like one of them. So it's a tough skill to master. But I think the thing that drives me the most nuts, which is related to that, is just not pushing further on answers that, that could lead to other things, especially if it's like kind of a controversial or bad or makes them not look like there's so many ways where like you can tell the answer is just kind of like a PR fluff lie. Mm-hmm. And the interviewer is just like, okay, moving on. Like that drives me nuts.
And it's because the interviewer, I think, is nervous. And it's like, it's too bold of a move to be like, stop. What are you saying? Like if somebody answers with that stupid PR fluff nonsense, like I think it's totally reasonable just to stop them and be like, what does that mean? What are you talking about? Just like get them out of their groove a little bit. But everyone's so eager to just look at the list of the next question they have and move on no matter what. It's like, no, your last question was not answered and it's capable of being answered and it was not. And like, it's worth at least going around the horn 3 times just to make sure that they're ironclad on this issue. And like that is, number one thing is just prep for an interview, and then in a perfect world, cut half your questions and focus on follow-ups. Like if you just follow up with every question you have, your interview will be so much better. And basically nobody does it, especially Japanese interviews. There's just like never follow-up questions. And it's super important to let people go a little bit more in depth on all these things.
One of the hardest times I cringed in my life was watching a clip of some random interview with Matthew Vaughn, director of Argyle, among other things.
Your favorite.
It was about Argyle. Starring Bryan Cranston was in it. There's a scene where he knocks on a door. And the interviewers were like, so Bryan Cranston, there's that scene where he's like knocking at the door. Is that kind of like a I'm the one who knocks reference? From Breaking Bad? And whatever that is, that's my pet peeve.
Yeah, I think to that end though, and I guess I was thinking more of like good interviews I think could be better with this question, but I think just inappropriate questions, like just because you can, and you see this a lot with people that aren't as maybe they don't have as much of a background in interviewing, where they're just be like asking kind of outlandish things or like inappropriate stuff, like highly personal stuff when it's work related, like about like their relationships or about like
where do you see
like,
this?
You know, I've seen
Gaming stuff?
Like,
Yeah, where is that happening?
more like entertainment, because there's like a lot of I think I hate to be the person dragging influencers because I don't think all influencers are bad at doing that kind of content, but you know, stuff like, oh, Zendaya, is it awkward to like kiss your co-star because you're dating Tom Holland? Like that's
this
not
is always a directed at women problem. Yeah. Like this, you see this with. I wasn't on board with what you were saying until you said that, and I was like, oh yeah, that is just like how they treat female celebrities.
And I'm not saying that women don't get it worse, because that's for sure, but I've also seen it in sports with like certain, you know, again, maybe content creators being like, hey, like so-and-so, if you get one hall pass, who would you like hook up with? It's like, why are you, what is this, what are you doing? That drives me up the wall. Like, I think a fluff question at the end that's related to what you're doing is, you know, what have you been playing lately? Like, to a developer, yeah, sure, that's cute, that's fine. Asking these weird, strange things, it's just like, oh, it's the worst, and it just sucks.
Don't check out any of the rapid fire interviews, please. We only ask totally normal questions in those. No, it's like, I think another pet peeve is when people are just asking the same questions. Like, every interviewer thinks they're so freaking smart. They think they're the only person asking these questions. Like, I don't know if they're just not a fan of other games media, but it seems unthinkable to me that if you're doing an interview, you wouldn't do research to see what is everybody else asking them, what answer has been out there 60,000 times, what is like some new territory to lean into, or to like see a dead end in a previous interview and then be like, oh, I'm going to follow up on this because I know there's more meat on that bone. Like, it just blows my mind that people don't consume other interviews beforehand.
I feel like I have a, you know, definitely room for growth in interviewing, because same as Kelsey, like I think it's really hard to do. And like, I think, you know, working through the PR answers is honestly one of like my biggest struggles, or combined with the fact that a lot of people give really long answers for short questions, which then cuts into the time. Then you don't want to cut them off. And it's, you know, it's a challenging thing to do. Like, I'm definitely not perfect at it. But one time I was doing an interview, and later like the PR person was like, oh, like I love working with you. You and so are so well prepared. And I'm like, I really didn't even feel that prepared for the interview. Like, I did prepare for it, but like, I didn't feel like I was like, oh, I tore it up. I thought I tried to do it. And I'm like, are people not try? But sometimes people don't. Or like asking, stop asking the Pokemon developers which Pokemon they'd eat. They've answered it before. They don't like answering it. It's over.
Yep.
And I've asked dumb questions to the Pokemon team too, but a dumb new question.
Yeah, like
that
when you smash it.
Been at,
Yeah.
Because I think, again, there's definitely space to have fun with it, but the fun needs to make sense. And I think, Ben, with the rapid fire, that makes sense for a lot of reasons. Like, the format is quick, so you can get more funky stuff in there. In other cases, you might not be able to because the format is different. So, like, but you know how to interview. So we don't need to.
In rapid fire, they accept like, I think you accept like a face that looks terrified as an answer, and then you move on. You know, like you don't have to actually making
rapid fire is the only place where you can get like a lot of answers at once. You know, because I mean, honestly, I wish every interview was rapid fire, because sometimes people just take too, or you can tell they're like, okay, well, now that I answered your question, let me also say this PR beat that I need to get in. It's tough, but that's the job of interviewing, and it is a hard job. But yeah.
I mean, hard job is maybe a bit much, but it's interesting. It's fun.
Well, not in the grand scheme of life. I mean, you're not a doctor.
I just want to emphasize that. Yeah. You were asking,
it's challenging.
What's the frame rate on this game? But no, it is funny, like talking to people, nameless, who, were at Game Informer that I worked with, who now go into the world of PR, and they're like, oh, when you sit through a bunch of other media interviews and you see just everybody asking, like, some of those interviews are so bad and just so obvious and lame. And so, yeah, it is nice. It's PR's job, I guess, to butter you up after an interview to be like, great, so insightful. But hopefully you can see every once in a while when they're genuinely like, okay, no, thank God you asked something new, because I've heard this answer 60,000 times and it sucks and there's nothing there.
Yeah. With rapid fires, we do include, I think, some questions that have been asked when there's quick answers and when it's like really important. It's like, people do want to know this. It's been answered elsewhere technically, but we want to contain a lot of information about the game.
Yeah.
And we can do that because it's like 5 out of 100 questions, and because it's so fast.
Yeah.
It doesn't waste anyone's time.
Michael Billard. Yeah. I mean, just keep going with this. I was talking to Kyle Bossman. I really liked his interview with Shuhei Yoshida. It's up on his YouTube channel if you want to check it out. But I appreciate this. Like, it's a follow up to all the other interviews that Shuhei have done. You know, he's trying to ask new stuff. And he's talking about like, yeah, I don't know what to do. And it's tough when you're interviewing somebody and you hear them slip back into the groove of an answer that I've heard them give over and over again. Like, you want to just be able to be like, nope, stop. I know this answer already. Stop. Like, but there's no delicate way to do that unless you can be a little bit blunt of like, yeah. Just to try and get them out of that, train of thought that they've expressed over and over again. But Michelle Billard writes in and says, hey, what's your backup situation? Are you ready in case your main computer craps out and you lose everything on it? Or if you lose your phone? What are y'all doing? How are you backing this stuff up?
Hell no. I'm starting fresh. It's an opportunity now.
You actually, new life, new identity. Smart.
Yeah. Whatever I had, it wasn't important enough for me to know that I even had it. So it's fine.
My phone cloud storage has been full for years, and I really should figure that out because I would hate to lose some things, even though I never go back and look at them. But someday I would.
Yeah.
But I also use Dropbox to back up my computer, and that's a lifesaver. That legitimately, like, there was a time I accidentally deleted half of a Premiere project and didn't notice until hours later. And you can go back to those old versions, pick up that project file from 3 hours ago, and drag it back onto your computer. It's truly.
Is it your whole computer?
No, it's like my video drive and my MinnMax and personal channel stuff, pretty much.
Oh, and so you couldn't do that with Google Drive because you'd have to manually upload that? Like, I've never understood that idea of paying for Dropbox when Google Drive is there.
Does that have like desktop
Drive
integration?
too.
I guess I do. Yeah. I guess I do pay money to them. But that's
you fill up that free tier really fast. So
yeah.
I pay money to, like, my phone has a backup. I've got iCloud or whatever, and then I have I do most of my work. I try to do most of my work on Google stuff so that it's automatically in Google Drive, but I am totally screwed on anything that I don't do there.
I'm to the point where I think I need a NAS, and it freaks me out. That I am like, years ago, I bought like an 8 terabyte external hard drive that I've used to keep all my kind of like extra game footage and like old project files on. And it's like, that is basically full. And I don't think the solution is to just keep buying like more external hard drives, but like building or paying someone to build a storage array or something seems like such a wild next step. But I don't know. I have trouble doing the online backups for things that you want to have for a long time, both because it's like you have to download a big file. It's like if you have a footage thing that's 60 gigabytes, that takes a while. But also it's like, what if those get switched off? Yeah. I do kind of want to have my stuff there, but I don't know how extreme to go on that.
Do you have could you go back and open the project file for an essay you made like 2 years ago? Do you have like all of those clips and everything ready to go?
I might have to like locate some of them, like the places have moved.
Yeah.
But yes, and I when I was recently in Norway, they asked for like a clean video that didn't have like a sponsor read at the end, and so I like went back and I like made one that was different.
Oh, that's super handy. Yeah, that's nice. I just am so annoyed by little alerts on my phone. And I have like everything going to Google Photos. And it was a situation recently where I was like, God, do I just have to delete a ton more photos or offload those? Yeah, to like local storage. And I was like, you know what? I'll pay an extra $1 a month just to get rid of that red alert telling me I'm out of space in my Google Photos thing. It turns out that is worth that money to me, even as foolish as it is to keep tossing a ton of money over to Google and Apple and all that stuff over and over again. Michael Berry asks, which console do you think has the most absurd game library? I'm talking the weirdest of the weird games. Easy to say like PS2. If we're just talking about like highlighting like absurd games with the size of the PS2 library, you're going to find some weird stuff in there. But it doesn't feel like the weirdest, right? And you could say Dreamcast is spunky, but that's not exactly it. What is it?
Is it like density of weird games?
I think that's better. I think
sheer amount.
I think density of weirdness is better.
Then I think it's probably something like sorry to be the weirdo here, but it's probably something like a Casio Loopy or something where...
Shut up. Casio Loopy?
Right.
What?
Kelsey,
Yes.
literally, I
This
thumbs
has
this
a-
question up because I wanted you to answer it.
Cassiopeia has a sticker thing. Like you can print stickers from some of the games and stuff.
That sounds
It's a
awesome.
console that was marketed specifically to girls. And so there's some just like strange ideas in there that are not done in other games that include some games where you print little stickers.
That sounds
Does it still like work? Like, what's the situation on trying to
Wow,
use that
it had
today?
11 titles. Like it had 11 games.
All right, read the
And
games.
there's a game called I Want a Room in Loopy Town that's basically like it's not quite Animal Crossing, but like you can see the vision there a little bit. You are just kind of like decorating a house and talking to people around town. And
That is such a good name for a game. I want a room in Loopy Town.
room in Loopy Town.
Damn it. Well done, Kelsey. I thought I was going to be digging in deep, but of course you can one up me. But I was going to go for like, back at Game Informer, which is this magazine we used to work at, rest in peace. They had like a game vault, where it was like, a bunch of games, yada, yada. And always like the weirdest section, the weirdest games to look at was the Pioneer Laser Active. Yeah. So if we're just like looking at that library, which is not that big, like the big one we had at the Game Informer office, which was fun, was Quiz Econosaurus. Remember that weird, stupid box art, Leo, where it was like the economics quiz with dinosaurs? But then I look at the other games in the library for the Laser Active, and it's I Will, The Story of London, J.B. Harold Blue Chicago Blues, Melon Brains, Exploring the Mind of the Dolphin, which is a game I really want to play. 3D Museum, 3D Virtual Australia, Virtual Cameraman 2, Don Quixote, A Dream in Seven Crystals, and a game called Goku, which I got excited for a second. I'm like, wait, is there a Goku Dragon Ball game? No. Goku is a Sega LD full motion video educational software program that consists of educational videos about the 7 wonders of the ancient world and a legendary creature the game has associated with that wonder. So there's a game called Goku where you can explore the 7 wonders of the world. So I think Laser Active is my pick.
I mean, if you're going just sheer like strange mixed media edutainment stuff, I mean, the CDI has a bigger library of that kind of weird stuff.
Right.
But I mean, it's all, those are similar enough, I feel like, in terms of just that's the era of like we're doing, games and education and just whatever weird mixed media things we can throw together.
Hang on.
Do you know how much the Laser Active cost, by the way?
No.
It was like $1,000 at launch.
That's like 2 Switch 2s.
And that's in the early 90s.
Oh my God.
Whatever.
But then again, you get to learn about Melon Brains, the mind of the dolphin, which I'm looking at. Like, is it? So it turns out that according to the Laser Active, dolphins have brains, but then that weird hump on top of their head, that's a second brain that they call a melon. And then that's why it's called Melon Brains. I've learned something already, man.
I mean, dolphin brains are crazy looking. Like it looks like they have like a third part. It's like, we have like each hemisphere and then dolphins have like both of those and then like another one under it.
And that's the melon part? Oh my God, dolphin brain.
I don't know the melon terminology.
Oh, weird, sick stuff.
The DS, I think, might be a sleeper hit because every game had to be kind of weird, and there's so many weird, specific DS versions of games that were normal elsewhere.
Yeah, that is true.
And there's so much weird stuff, especially in Japan for this thing. I have some weird stuff. There's one that's like an astronomy thing that has like a sensor on it for positioning yourself in the stars, and like
Wow.
There's some weird DS stuff. I think DS might actually be the correct answer.
That is true. Backstage Pass is saying Playdate, which is also an interesting contender, I think, if we're counting the Playdate. William Hiddle says, I buy very few new games. The only new game I've ever played this year was Tales of Grace's F remake. At some point, I realized that I'm probably best characterized as a retro gamer. Even though I play some current gen games occasionally. With a child and a full-time job, I don't have time or money to buy and play every new game every month. It's an interesting thing. I'm just quietly realizing, like, wait a minute. Am I one of those fabled retro gamers based on my habits? I mean, Fortnite's pretty old now, everybody. If you just play Fortnite, are you a retro gamer? I say yes.
Okay.
Do you really?
Yeah, I feel like it's more of a... On Reddit, there's a patient gamers subreddit.
Yes.
That's more just kind of like, hey, Mafia 3 went on sale and I bought it and here's what I think. And it's like people playing things usually based on sales, not particularly timely. I do think of Retro Gamer as being kind of like you're making a concentrated effort to play things that are old versus what this person sounds like, which is like they're just not really concerned with the release schedule and they're going to play like what interests them at that time.
Right. Yeah, I guess that's true. Anthony Botts. I live in Las Vegas, and I'd like to know if Kelsey can speak about the decision to expand her Pink Gorilla game stores here. It seems logistics would be difficult for a small business to have one store that's so remote. How'd that work, Kelsey?
How'd that work?
Actually, quite easily. So there's two owners of Pink Gorilla. It's myself and my business partner. My business partner bought a house in Vegas several years ago, so it is quite literally. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but we've always kind of like dreamed of opening one somewhere else. It makes it easier that there's two of us, so one person can fairly easily, I can stay here and run the Seattle stores, and he can go and do some work in another place. And so we were looking at some other places, including Minneapolis, as our first expansion. But ultimately, just due to the fact that Vegas is a fairly, it's a little bit cheaper cost of living than like Seattle. So between that and him having a house there, that kind of seemed like the most obvious one to start with. So it's not like a. I think it's a little more simple than it probably looks like from the outside,
right.
But really it's just that we already had in some way, shape, or form a presence in Vegas. But yeah, that should be opening. May 1st is what we're aiming for right now. Definitely May, no matter what.
Nice.
So pretty soon.
And you don't have to like go through the mafia or something to get a business to open in Las Vegas. It's just like all above board. I'm paying some bribes to every casino. Smart.
In order to be open.
Is there going to be any like Vegas theming, or is it if you walk in, could you be in a Pink Gorilla in Seattle?
The idea is that I don't think it's going to be like we're not
slot
building,
machine?
we're not putting slot machines in there and stuff like
There's still
that.
time. You said you got May 1st? That's like plenty of time.
The
right?
Metal Gear Solid 3 pachinko machine.
There's some like graphics that we're going to be putting on the windows just to make it look a little nicer from the outside that may have like a small geographical reference or two, but it's not gonna look wildly different on the inside or anything.
The solid gold gorilla. Boba Fett's writes in, thank you for gracing us, Boba Fett's. They say, would you rather be lost underwater or lost in outer space?
Lost.
Do I have equipment for?
I would hope either way. Yeah, I think you'll need it. So let's assume like small little one person little vehicle with infinite fuel.
I think
gotta be underwater.
Cry
right?
thinking of this question. It's underwater, yeah. But it sounds horrifying.
If there's a chance of getting back,
Yeah.
interested
No,
in
yeah,
Chance in the water.
I was thinking, I think space, because it would be like a better death. Like I can only imagine a death underwater being terrifying, but a death in space could be like kind of beautiful.
You kind of have to suffocate though. Well, okay, here's a question, dark question.
Please.
How long do you take that helmet off if you're lost in space? Is it like off the rip? Is it like a...
It depends if it's like a mission to Mars situation and someone's like trying to come out and rescue me and I'm like, don't come. And then I take it off just to make sure, So if it's not that, that would be a nice way to go, I think. In space, just take the helmet off. If it's like, well, this is the end of this journey.
I'm taking the helmet off really fast if I'm lost in space. I gotta be honest, I don't have any hope for what's gonna happen.
I mean, I was just kind of thinking that I was picturing not in a ship. You're just in like a space suit or like a scuba suit, like floating out there.
Right.
And then it's like, I'll just die of, like I'll probably pass out from like dehydration or whatever. And like, that's fine.
I don't like this question, actually.
Okay, we can move on. That's fine.
It's so sad.
Janet, relax. It's not going to happen to you. It's not going to happen to you. You're not going to die in space. It's
But when
a
I go to
voluntary
sleep
thing.
at night, what do you think I'm going to be dreaming about, Ben? It's going to be this question.
Leo, what are you freaking out about?
I think you awakened a core memory of me seeing that death scene in Mission to Mars as a kid, and it's scaring the hell out of me.
Is that the movie? Am I thinking of the right one? I know they take their mask off at some point in Mission to Mars.
That also happens in the Magic School Bus episode where they're going to space. Arnold takes his helmet off on Pluto.
No!
And then because he's like mad at the rest of them, and then it cuts and they're back in the classroom and he has like a cold. And even as a kid, I was like, he's dead. He's fully dead.
I wasn't even supposed to be here today.
The Simpsons episode where they like inflate and pop when they do that.
Right.
Yeah. That's what I learned.
By the way, there's a tornado siren test going off right now, so if you can hear that, I apologize. Chandler writes in, they say, if there was one massive poll with every new show plus option all at once, what do you think would win?
House Hunter.
We've done House Hunter. We put it back in the poll multiple times.
And it won.
Maybe one of the IRL things, like
that's what I was thinking.
the ice hole.
It's got to be an IRL thing.
You to return to the hole.
Return to the hole.
I really think people
it tied
would...
with Thirst Council last time.
Okay, but it also
and
lost,
we decided to go with Thirst Council.
It lost like 2 times before that too, I think.
Really?
I think there's virtually nothing that a charge shot would lose to. I think that people are always kind of like the potential of something cool.
Right.
They'll take over like a guaranteed anything.
Yeah, we should probably get a new charge shot rolling at some point where we kind of bide our time for a week and skip New Show Plus with the promise that the follow-up is going to be good, like the ice hole situation. Or as it made me laugh when we went to Kind of Funny, Snowbike Mike, he's like, yeah, I saw you and Sarah in that ice pond. You went jumped in the ice pond. Just kept calling it an ice pond, which is funny for a snowman to say.
Kind of funny.
It's a little bit funny. But I will say it's the most exclusive of exclusive content. But Leo and I went through the big list. Oh, sorry, Janet, you're about to scream.
I know what Ben's fashion thing with Sarah. That would win. And I would sign up to vote for it, even though I work here. I love that video. I think about that video so often. I went to the mall and I'm like, this is just like the video that I watched from MinnMax.
That's so sad. It is, I think, the highest viewed New Show Plus ever, I think, is Sarah and I.
In my mind, that went viral because everyone came up to you like, Ben, I saw you. You're the guy from the video. Look at SGF.
The shirt. That's the shirt from the video.
He's wearing that.
And then when you went
shirt.
to the meetup, you were wearing one of the pieces. And I was like, oh, is that one of the jackets Sarah made you buy? And I'm like, it looks nice. So I just, it's the gift that keeps giving.
Yep. It did kind of go viral, but it went viral for the clip of the Dark Souls 3 Game Informer statue in the GameStop store, which then we had to backpedal on and be like, that guy was lying. Everybody from GameStop didn't get to steal all the stuff, we think. No, like, yeah, Leo and I went through the big list of New Show Plus show ideas because the doc was 60 pages long. And some of that was like the list of previous winners and losers, but it was like, 30 pages of just ideas, unused ideas for New Show Plus. So if you're at the $20 tier, we just shared a link and shared the stream link for those folks to watch us go through it. And that was one of those things, Leo, like as we're doing it, I was like, damn it, this is so fun. Is this good as just like mainline content? Because it was just so fun to try and go through like, okay, 8 months ago, we wrote down this idea and trying to figure out what this could possibly mean. Do you remember any examples? I'm trying to remember.
No good ones we didn't save to use. So I want to keep them in the back pocket.
Okay.
Because we have a plan for the best ones, I found.
Okay. All right. That seems fair. Oh, one that we didn't use was, for example, it was looking up the lowest viewed best man speeches on YouTube and dunking on them. But we're not going to do that, to be really clear. But wouldn't that be funny to find like a video with like 6 views? Mean. We wouldn't do it. That's a rejected idea. But if you're at the $20 tier, you can find that in the Discord channel there.
Taking the SAT made the cut. We left that on there.
Hell yeah. I do think that'd be a really fun New Show Plus. All right. What do y'all like for question of the week?
Interviews.
Interview question? Yeah. That was the biggest talker, maybe. All right. Congratulations.
That's when I took a break, so you all felt more comfortable chiming in. Because I wouldn't yell at you.
That's it. Mike Lynch, congratulations. You just won the grand prize for my 8-bit, which is Shim on PS5. Now it's time for something that we like to call Get a Load of This. Jacob, you're a late edition. Do you have one? No pressure if you don't.
Yeah, get a load of this. A couple months ago, I had someone reach out to me who has a YouTube channel called The 8-Bit Pianist that was just like, hey, is there any like sheet music you want to like any video game songs? I just kind of do this as my channel, and so if you have any requests, sounds good. And I have regular listeners know I've stopped playing piano, but back then I requested probably my favorite song from a video game, Father and Son from Metal Gear Solid 4, which is the like really big climactic closing song.
Yeah.
And they recently got back to me with like a MIDI and really nicely transcribed sheet music and a video that you can watch on YouTube. And it's just this really good piano version of Father and Son. And so if anyone wants to play just an awesome sounding song, please go do it.
Awesome. Links below for all this fun stuff.
Get a load of this. I found this cool guy on Instagram called Birding with Cobb. He is a guy who is trying to find every bird in the world and photograph it. And he's doing it in the style of Pokemon. So he's acting like he's filling out a Pokédex. He gives every bird like a typing and everything. And they're just really like well-edited short videos about traveling all across the world, photographing birds.
Oh my gosh, Kelsey, this is a deep cut. He has like 130 subscribers.
Oh, I'm on Instagram. He's got 54,000 followers.
Oh, okay. I'm looking on YouTube, but YouTube is not his primary platform.
Yeah, I mean, and I think he's bigger on TikTok, but it was just served to me on Instagram one day, and I was like, yes, this is my content. I love this.
Exactly this, yeah. Get a load of this. Maybe this is dumb and obvious, but Leo, if you were trying to warm up your hands coming in on a cold day, how would you do it? How would you breathe on them?
Oh, well, I've had like hand warmer things my mom got me.
Yeah. But what if I threw those away and said go outside and march around for a bit, then come back inside? Like, how would you breathe on your hands to warm them up?
I would probably squeeze them between my thighs, actually. That's what I typically do.
Yeah. But then if I like lopped off your thighs like Anakin. Okay, Jacob Gelly did it. And now, Janet, if you were trying to cool down hot soup, how would you do it?
This seems like a trap. I'd let it cool off with my hand.
Come on,
the question.
The question I thought is maybe I'm just too dumb, but like the idea of like when you want to warm something up, you're like, and when you want to cool something down, you go, but it's like, why would that make any sense? It's the same temperature breath coming out no matter what. But then looking around online, it turns out the air gets cooler when you have a smaller mouth. They go when you're cooling something down because the more intense velocity coming out makes it mix with the ambient air more, which technically cools it down. It's just this instinctive thing that you don't think about, but like it doesn't mix with the ambient air as much when you go, because that's more natural body temperature coming out.
I never knew that, but cool. I did. There was a line in Arrested Development where they're talking about Lucille blowing alternating breaths, hot and cool, and that stuck with me as a kid. I was like, is that possible? How do you? And I never had the answer until right now.
I do like that. I was
finally closed the loop.
Leo, did you watch Sex House from The Onion back in the day? And how they regulate the temperature in Sex House by alternating blasts of extremely hot, extremely cold air. So there's like getting burned all the time from Sex House. Right. If you guys all watch Sex House, it is a triumph.
Yeah, that's good.
Get low this. Mine is shouting out this game, Letter Tycoon. It's a board game that I've been playing lately. I'm always looking for some good word games. And I feel like this is one of them. It's pretty short. It's like a 30, 45 minute kind of joint, 2 to 5 players. And you are building words, but you can buy patents on letters, where then you end up like making money off of other people's words. So then you'll have this kind of like meta game of, oh, I don't want to spell this because you have the patent on this letter. And some of them have like extra like abilities tied to them and stuff. So just a cool one if you're also looking for more word games to play.
Love it. Nice. Get a load of this from the community, everybody. In the Discord, people share this all day, every day. To the Max 124 shares this post, which is that Bandai Namco has updated the United Galaxy Space Force website, confirming that Shadow Labyrinth, their upcoming weird Pac-Man Metroidvania, is part of the timeline officially, alongside Ace Combat 3, Dig Dug, Galaga, Mr. Driller, and more. They're all technically part of the same universe, apparently. And it's the first time that they've updated this since 2014 for the shared Bandai Namco arcade world, apparently.
Wow. Get a load of this. A talented friend of mine, Beanie Tuesday, great cartoonist and writer who moved to Minneapolis recently. I want to share his piece, a review of the only bagel place in Minneapolis. He found the one place that was not a chain and really put a lot of stock in it being good. And it's a really good, breezy read with some great art, great little cartoons in it. Very funny.
I love it.
And where's one bagel place?
Where is it?
In Minneapolis?
Apparently.
Do you know where it is?
Can't move there.
It's called Rise Bagel Company.
Huh. Okay. I'll be damned. All right. I think that's it. Unless somebody else has something to plug.
Listen to Pew Pew Bang. Sorry.
Listen to Pew Pew Bang. There's also, we've started a new season of Something Rotten, and we're covering the original God of War trilogy.
Yeah.
Which, playing those 3 games, I'm like, I think this is my favorite game trilogy. Just like full stop. That I just have been having the time of my dang life.
I love that. Even the first one, it's just like you're hooting and hollering.
The first one's so good.
Really?
The reveal is like the first one has like the best story by far.
Interesting. That's cool. Subscribe to Pew Pew Bang, standalone podcast feed, and Something Rotten, Jacob's other podcast. One's in the MinnMax network and one's out, but we treat them all as family. The latest episode of Pew Pew Bang is very good. Like when you all jumped ahead saying we should try Sekiro to learn how to parry. And it's like, oh, then you actually played it and went back and recorded like a follow-up like a long time later. Super cool idea. Let's see. Bonus pod this week at the $5 tier on Patreon. Not only if you join it before Monday, do you get a code for Lorelei and the Laser Eyes on Steam, and you're helping support independent games media directly. But you unlock Bonus Pod and the bonus podcast feed in general. And this week it is Jeffem and Haley and I talking more about Game Informer. To be frank, is that thing of like, we want to talk about Game Informer, but we don't want to talk about it too frankly in front of Game Informer. It's like, we should talk about our real thoughts on Godzilla and the whole NFT thing. And, and Jeffem didn't get to talk about it in the podcast. So if you want a more kind of, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Frank, I suppose. Relaxed. Yeah, conversation about what we think about the Game Informer acquisition, trying to map out like how can we make sure that this thing stays sustainable moving forward, all that fun stuff. That's what Bonus Pod is about this week. New Show Plus this week, Leo, is totally normal and cool, right?
It's bonus Pew Pew Bang content.
Yeah,
you and Jacob and I wrote another segment, same as last week's New Show Plus. It annihilated this week's New Show Plus poll amongst great options that all would have won any other week. And yeah, it was really, really fun writing session and an amazing performance. I enjoyed both those episodes a lot, and this one's even better.
I'm impressed by you guys as writers, honestly. After doing that, I was like, this is funny. This is good.
I didn't feel that way writing. All I was going through in my mind while writing was, this is bombing. I'm doing such a bad job. This is bombing. I'm doing such a bad job. So I'm glad
you had some great additions.
Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Stuff. You suggested sorry to spoil it, Kelsey being immortal. And that plays into so much.
You're right. Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate that. All right, that's it. Thanks so much, everybody. If, again, you've enjoyed MinnMax's content lately, help support it and get that code for Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. Check social posts to see if we're up. We have 200 codes, so odds are pretty darn high. Not even odds. It's guaranteed, unless you see that social post. You can get a code for Lorelei and the Laser Eyes from Simoko and Annapurna. So that is it. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode of the MinnMax Show podcast. Thanks so much, everybody. Be good. Have fun. Let's go.